morning to everyone. Welcome to Bihać, Bosnia and Herzegovina Wbilc 2018 Western Balkan Information Literacy Conference. And I'm more than pleased to welcome the participants from all over the world. So I will lose quite a lot of time, and there is no time to lose to mention all names, but once again, we'll welcome in during the conference, and I would like to invite the two persons that are, I would say, guilty for all this event happening since 2011. So please, warm welcome for Mr. Gerald Kaman and Mr. Kirby from RIT Limerick.
Morning, everybody. It's great to be back here again. It's 2018. On behalf of the Limerick Institute of Technology, myself, Corey, Monica, and all our friends who have been working in the Western Balkans for many years, Radko, Angela, Manolis, Jerry Cullen, our involvement in libraries in the Western Balkans, it's very, very important for us to develop, or help develop libraries in this region. And as part of that, this conference is very important to us. We've been involved since 2011. The theme of this year's conference is very appropriate, I think, particularly with alternative facts and fake news being in the news so much. I think librarians and information professionals are the gatekeepers, not of facts, but of true information. And for a lot of people, where to get access to information is quite difficult, because as everybody knows, that the reliance on the internet for information is probably the first port of call for many students and many people. Unfortunately, with very, very accurate and very true information, there's also very fake information, very untrue information. So the librarians and information professionals have kind of stewardship on guiding people to the correct information, and that's what we're trying to do here in the Western Balkans, is to develop libraries so that they can see that they have a central role in this region, or to help not only students but the academic community, and also other people to find information that's relevant to their lives. There's been many definitions of information literacy, and so I think in April this year we have a new definition which involves the informed citizen. And we have some eminent speakers here today. We have Teflo and we have Jesus, who, during the course of the next 2 days, these topics will be discussed about why it's so important. So, from my point of view, I'd just like to say that, you're all very welcome here. The sun is shining. We have a beautiful river, Una. Hopefully everybody gets to enjoy the beauty of Bihać and the surrounding areas. Just from an administration point of view, our own people who are part of the project, we have sign-in sheets, so don't forget to just sign them for the next 2 days. But otherwise, I'd like to hope you all have a very successful conference. Enjoy yourselves. It's about being informed, but it's also about having a bit of fun. As we say in Ireland, we're all friends. We just haven't met yet in some cases. I've met almost everybody in this room, but maybe not everybody in the room knows each other. So take the opportunity to get to know each other and have a very good conference. So thank you very much.
Hello everyone. like to call Mr. Patrick Kirby to read the letter sent from Ishmael Seragilbin from Egypt, who wasn't able to participate today.
Good morning, everybody. So we received this message from Dr. Seragilbin, who unfortunately he could not make it to Bihać due to sudden illness. So it's disappointing, but hope everything will be okay for him. And he gave us this. He kindly took the time to send this message, and it takes about 8 minutes to read out. We've been told, so here it goes. So these are remarks by Ishmael Seragilbin, who is the founding director emeritus of the Library of Alexandria, Egypt, addressed to the Western Balkan Information Literacy Conference 2018, 20th of June. Dear colleagues, dear friends, I apologize profusely for not being with you in person. The loss is certainly all mine. I apologise especially to my friends and colleagues, Jerry Kavanagh and Patrick Kirby, the organisers who had invited me to this event. Allow me perhaps to share some thoughts with you as you start your deliberations on this all-important topic of information literacy. There are no other topics that will so completely challenge the community of librarians at present or in the foreseeable future, not digitization and copyright issues per se, which seemed such pressing issues only a few years ago, not the reutilization of the physical spaces of the conventional libraries, not the challenges of dealing with the legacy collections we have accumulated over the years. Today we have to completely rethink the way librarians used to promote information literacy. This is due to 3 major developments. The enormous and unprecedented information explosion we are living through as the internet and the data on it continue to grow exponentially at a pace that outstrips anyone's ability to sort out reliable sites from biased or bogus sources. The spread of social media, which is leading to an upswell of partisanship, fake news and cyberbullying, and the rapid development of entirely new technologies from artificial intelligence AI to virtual reality that offer new opportunities and new challenges to librarians in dealing with info literacy. Let me make these 3 points in order. So firstly, exponentially growing data. The scale of the information explosion is enormous. In 2007, the University of Southern California estimated that the entire record of humanity was about 256 exabytes. Today we put more than 2 exabytes of new data on the internet every day. How big is an exabyte? 1 exabyte would be 100 times more than the digital size of all the text in the Library of Congress. Thus, teaching methods of search for reliable sources in this rapidly expanding ocean, now all easily accessible through our smartphones, is at least as important as teaching interaction with the digital resources of our libraries. Perhaps new algorithms using AI and big data analytics will help us cope with this, but we must learn and teach interaction with these challenging possibilities, emphasizing their limitations as well as their possibilities. So next, fake news and outright lies. Moving on to fake news, we know that fake news has existed throughout history. Indeed, the fabrication of fake news and the spreading of rumours are as old as human societies. Governments have used fake news as a propaganda tool to confront external and internal enemies, real or perceived. Businesses have also used it as a tool to promote more sales for their products by making outrageous claims for their products and services, or by disparaging the products and services of their competitors. And those in the media business also frequently promoted rumours about celebrities or political figures in order to increase the sales of their journals or the reach of their websites and expand their subscriptions or their advertising revenues. So what is news today? I submit that several things have today brought this issue to the forefront of our concerns. The case with which such fake news can spread through social media. The fact that once something is posted on the internet, it is very, very difficult to erase or retract it. That social media is overtaking the traditional media as the preferred means for the public to get their news. The possibility of so-called news items, fake or real, serious or trivial, to go viral as the new media delivery systems on the internet, such as YouTube, Twitter and Facebook, give specific items enormous spread, very rapidly nationally and internationally. The multiplicity of channels in conventional media and the creation of special distribution groups in the social media has promoted a polarization of the public and allows persons to join echo chambers in which they reinforce their prejudices rather than get informed of the alternative views that exist out there. Cyberbullying of dissident or minority positions have become easy and effective to the point of pushing a number of young people to depression and even suicide. New techniques for creating fake news and cyberbots that can spread fake news and false reports by harnessing the power of robots and programs and not just relying on real human beings to do it has magnified manifold the capacity of the new technologies to be misused. Fake news and erroneous propaganda have been used to remotely recruit and radicalize future terrorists. All of that is not just making the task of finding the right information difficult, it also puts democracy itself at risk, since democracy is built on the assumption that the government follows the wishes of an informed citizenry. Emphasis on properly informed citizenry. Thus, I would hope that librarians will also confront cyberbullying and the coarsening and partisanship of public discourse. We need of civility in our public discourse through the social media, since our complex societies have complex problems that require careful discussion and which will not be solved by bumper stickers, t-shirt statements or simple tweets. The ability to exchange information and engage in constructive debate must become one of our contributions to info literacy. New technologies. Finally, I welcome the enormous technological advances that bring new wonders every day. Far from fearing that machines will take over the decisions of humans, I think they will open new ways for us to perform our jobs better and more creatively than was ever possible before. But this means that there cannot be just one set of techniques to handle info literacy. We must remain focused on the goals of the activities that we as librarians undertake to educate the public on these matters and remain ready to confront new technologies and seize new opportunities that the evolving technologies make possible. I wish that I could be with you in these days where you will discuss these vital topics, to participate with you and learn from your discussions. Regretfully, I cannot. I can only wish you every success in this very important meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will start with presentations. But before we do, I would like to point out that each presentation will last for 15 minutes, after which you will have 5 minutes for Q&A. Thank you. And now I would like to welcome Mr. Tetko Saracevic from USA, who will speak to you about information literacy and quality of information, considerations for library and information services in the network world.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a piece of advice. About 40 years ago, I was at the was a hot day. I went to one of the coffee houses, and there in front of it, you can kind of take off your clothes. Bathing suits and all that. I was in a bathing suit. And across there was a little island. And kids were jumping from trees and jumping in the pool and so on. And I understand what the heck it is war. So I went there and I jumped in the pool. And I died right away. It's cold. You wouldn't believe it. So my advice is, don't jump in the pool. The previous speaker almost stole what I had to say. So I'm going to be fast. The title of my presentation, as you can see, is Information Literacy and Quality of Information, Consideration for Library and Information Services in the Network. And please underline the network. I have 38 slides, including the previous one and this one. I will discuss components of information literacy and put together the quality of information and have some definitions. Then we will talk about the web. Then we will talk about the metrics, both of information quality and on information services. There is a difference. The methods that are used for quality assurance and metrics, and I have one slide, only one slide for conclusions. What is information literacy? 3 slides. The American Library Association and the light blue, you can click on that and get the source. We are not going to do that. Defines information literacy as a set of abilities requiring individuals to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information. Then, from the UK, the Chartered Institute of Library and Information Literacy defines this a little bit differently. Knowing when and why you need information, where to find it, how to evaluate, use it, and communicate it in an ethical manner. They are the first one who brought also ethics in the definition. And finally, the last definition comes from Alexandria and its International Federation of Library Association, IFLA. And I would consider this the best one. They define information literacy as at the core of lifelong learning. It is. It empowers people in all walks of life to seek, value, use, and create information effectively to achieve their personal, social, occupational, and educational goals. It is a basic human right. A basic human right in a digital world and promotes social inclusion of all nations. But there's some connection between information literacy and quality of information. I have I think 3 slides on that. How is information literacy connected with quality of information? Particularly in this area, when we have, as the conference also points out, fake news. How we are going to evaluate it? What's the truth about information on one hand and false information, fake news on the other hand? And particularly today, when false information is disseminated in the guise of news reporting, we have a lot of news reporting, including in the United States, maybe more in the United States than elsewhere, where we also have fake news. So the connection between quality of information literacy is that presently the volume of information, as already the previous speaker pointed out, is huge, incredible. But the barriers between sharing this information is near zero. It's almost nothing. Everybody can get these news. Everybody does get these news. We have modern devices contribute, such as smartphones, iPhones, and all that, which we all have, including me, unfortunately. Internet plays a major role. The web, the internet. Although they're two different things. The web is one thing and the internet is another, but it plays a different role. So information comes in all kinds of qualities, from truth to misinformation, to disinformation, to alternate facts, to fake news, and all kinds of other things. Therefore, I'm ending with this point, when considering information literacy, and this is a conference primarily about information literacy, but when considering information literacy, as the previous speaker also showed me, is we also have to consider the ability to ascertain, to judge, to find about quality of information. Okay, now we are getting finally to quality. We make a distinction between two things. One is quality of information on one hand, and the other one is particularly what librarians are considering and concerned with, is quality of information services. Quality of information, quality of information services. They're not the same, although they are related very much so. How do they interact, the two? The quality of information basically deals with the content. And the quality of information services basically deals with usability. And I will talk more about it later on. But for a user, it is mostly single experience. A user doesn't care if it comes from information service. A librarian does. But the user doesn't. The user can see that they blend together. The user can see that the service, the information service, something that you, the librarians, are providing, can help, can also hinder, and can assist in getting information, but it can make it even hard or even obstruct. Maybe I should put in big letters these words, obstruct, of getting the information. So what? Let's talk first. Remember, we talked quality of information services. I'll get to that toward the end of this part of it. What do we mean by quality of information? The key concept in all that when we talk about the quality of information is how fit it is for use. How well does it get together for use? It's a measure of the value which the information provides to the user of that information. The key concept, the absolutely key concept, when we talk about quality of information, is what is the value to the user? We're getting to the web. To use the web resources effectively, we need both. We need both. We need finding of quality information, and usually quite a few users find it not by themselves, but they find it the quality information services through you, to librarians, to information professionals. Some of the problems. The web, including the databases on the web and all that, are quite fuzzy. They are not clear what they are. The structures on the web, the structure of your service, somebody else's service, and all that, vary widely, almost no connection. And, sorry, and what is quite important is what is here today, we don't know if it's going to be tomorrow. This evolves constantly all over the time. The big problem that we face is that web itself is value neutral. Web has pearls on the one hand, it has junk. You know it. It has truth. Thank you very much. It's water. Sorry. It has pearls and it has junk. The web has truth. And it has, I'm sorry, many distortions to the truth. It has leading information, it has misleading information. It has truth, and it has fake news. So the quality of information needs judgment. There is no such thing as just taking it as it is. So here is an ad in New York Times that addressed the same thing. And it was relatively recent when the New York Times said. And they talked about, in 27th of May of this year, be skeptical of heavens. Look close, they have more elaborate on each of them. Look closely at the link. Investigate the source. Watch for unusual formatting. Consider the photos, if there are photos. Inspect the dates. Check the evidence. Look at other reports. Is the story a joke? And the last one is some of the stories, quite a few of the stories, I would say, today, especially in the United States, are intentionally false stories. The solution to our problems is to develop and use some metrics that describe and recognize and test the quality. It is a mechanism that we are seeking for precise description and evaluation of quality things in the web. We have many, many efforts around the world that are trying to specify metrics for information quality and for quality of information services. I'm going to mention here some metrics. What we know is quality should be observable. It should be quantifiable, comparable, and testable. And that is done by use of metrics. And I'm going to point out some of the metrics that exist. I'm going to run through them really, but you will get the idea. Here we have some metrics that over time have been defined. How to define quality information. Remember there is a difference between quality of information and quality of information services. And we have metrics for that. For information services. So we deal with 4 components: intrinsic, context, representation, and access. And now I'm going to describe what do we deal in each of these 4. In intrinsic information, we are looking for authority, same kind of a thing that New York Times in that ad of May, whatever it is, of this year, provided. Who did it? What's the credibility? What's the reputation? How can we verify it? How trustworthy it is? What's the availability and reliability of it? The second thing is we're looking for context. How relevant it is to the topic at hand. How appropriate it is. How timely it is. How comprehensive, how much it is. The third one is representation. How well is it organized? How suitable it is for given users. There is quite a difference between users, let's say children, and you can provide to children and young adults also false information. How different it is for workers, for administrators, for politicians. How suitable it is for a given user. How consistent it is. And how concise it is. And finally, the fourth one is accessibility. How available it is, who can get it, and how. The convenience of getting it, security, are any restriction there, and integrity. Again, we define here, is it adhere to ethical principles. Now we are getting to the second part, and that is quality of information services. There is a difference, as I pointed out, between one and the other. The quality of information services is very much linked to usability. It is an extent, and usability has been defined by Web Accessibility Initiative, and you can go and find the source here. Extent to which a user can achieve goals with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction in the context of use. The key concept here is achievement of goals in the context of use. How can you achieve your goals? That's what the services provide. That's what librarians, that's what you provide to the user. How can the user achieve the goals which they have? Jack Nielsen is a usability guru, and everybody, including me, quotes him. He defines usability as a quality attribute that assesses how easy user interface are to use. The word usability also refers to the methods for improving ease of use during the design process. The key concept that we have here is ease of use. Essential features of usability is that a user is involved, a user is doing something, and that user is something doing a product, a system, or with other things, including politics. We have now essential qualities of usability. As far as the user are concerned, information should be findable, information should be understandable, and information should be utilizable for whatever the user wants to do. Information services, the services that you are providing to users should follow these principles. The same way that I have information metrics for quality of information, I have metrics for quality of information services, effectiveness, efficiency, functionality, and satisfaction. And I'm going to run through the effectiveness deals with success rate, precision, accuracy, precision, retrieval, and amount of junk, and completeness. Efficiency deals with learning. How much does a user have to learn? Time, cost, and effect. I know by myself, if I have to get to when I get to a site, and the site, I have to learn a lot to get there. Everybody gets up very fast. How much time and effort do I need to use? And what's the completion rate? Functionality deals with navigation, with browsing, with features that are available, and with outputs. And satisfaction, finally, of the user deals with satisfaction with features that are provided, with interaction that the user has to do, the results obtained, and the overall experience. This is a summary, and I'm not going to do this, but basically on one end, left hand, right hand, okay? On the right hand you have the quality of information, and on the left hand you have the quality of information services, and everything that I have pointed out is on this one slide. So I could have used this one slide and not bore you anymore. Okay. We are already on the 32nd slide. And remember we have 38 slides, so pretty soon. Libraries, and digital libraries in particular, are quite complex systems. There are quite a few methods for evaluation of libraries. Each method has strength, each method has weaknesses. There is no such thing as the best method. So there is also no agreement on how to standardize these methods, and no agreement on any of these methods. So here are methodologies that are used. The most prevalent methodology that is used is surveys, followed by interviews, followed by observation, followed by focus group, and quite rarely case studies, and even rarer to do experiments. Actually, we can ask, what do digital users, when I look at the sites, what do digital users want from libraries? Well, they want more access to the digital content of all kinds of formats. Another thing that the digital users want. It enhances functionality. Still another thing that they want is enhanced content. For instance, subject information, summaries, tables of content, and so forth. And how can libraries, how do you can meet the needs of the users? Well, for one thing, the libraries could provide seamless access to all kinds of variety of resources that they have. From e-journals that they have today, almost every journal is also an e-journal, to data sets. The libraries should respond to changing user information behavior, and the library websites should more and more act like search engines. Be search engines. And the search engines are very familiar to users. So that's the reasons why the libraries should be. And how, pretty soon, 2 more slides. Okay, how can libraries meet the needs of their users? Well, you can include high-level metadata for both for searching and for browsing. You can provide guidance to students and young people in general in providing and evaluating content. And there is absolutely nothing wrong that the libraries advertise their brand and resources to users and demonstrate their value clearly. For the first time in history of libraries, it happens that all kinds of information institutions, many fields, even commercial fields, particularly commercial field firms, and particularly governments are getting into information. Everybody wants to be in information. Many of these institutions have built digital libraries. For instance, I'll give you just one example. It is the Association for Computing Machinery has a huge digital library for all of this special interest group, for all of its publications, and there are quite a few. And by the way, that is becoming, or is, the biggest information society, and that's the biggest society in the world in terms of membership. And it has it all over the place, from China to the United States to Europe and so on. So we also have that e-books, electronic books, are making major inroads. So what are the responses? And I have one slide, and that's it, for conclusions. And this is that our responses is adding value. Whatever we do, we add value in terms of information sources and information, quality information services. Whatever we do, we are adding value, and that is adding value is the highest possibly level that we can do. It's not easily to do. Not at all. But if now we come back to where we started with, it adds value to information literacy as well. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Staracevic. That was inspiring. Thank
Okay.
you. Do we have any questions? Okay. Rowan?
Okay. Can I just shout? Okay.
Doesn't work. Sorry.
So you're a great lecturer and you're an engaging presenter. You've obviously done this well as an information literacy instructor. Do you have any suggestions for us to make our librarian work more interesting for the students? To make it more value-added, more engaging, make students realize that the library is an important part of their search for information?
That is an excellent question. And I have two suggestions. One is get yourself a good director. First of all. And second, get yourself good staff. Probably the good staff is more important than the good, now I'm serious, the staff that you have in the library has to know these things. It has to be like this guy who's here with the red. Over there. Like this guy. He knows all kinds of stuff about the computer. He put my click on, and he is much more handy with the computer than I am. So get him. Okay? Anything else?
Any other questions? No?
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Did you have time to refresh a little bit? No. So I will follow the tradition that Tefka just started and start with a little story of what happened to me last year here at the conference. I went rafting, and if you haven't done that yet, please go do it. I'm advertising for it. It's a wonderful experience. Una is called. However, you get wetsuits, so you're all ready to go, and don't be scared. Okay. Another tradition that Tefka started is to count the number of slides. I have only 13 slides, so this is going to be a short presentation. Okay, seriously, I really have to thank Tefka and also Dr. Serigaldin for providing excellent background, the beginning of what I'm going to talk about today. So, in my presentation, which is entitled Encountering Information in a Rapidly Changing Environment, I basically touch many of the things that we already heard from the letter from Dr. Serigaldin and also from the presentation of Tefko about quality information in the context of fake news. So in this presentation I will share an approach to the topic from the perspective obviously of library information science research and especially study of information encountering, which is also known by many as serendipity in information behavior. Because as a researcher, my background, my main area of study is human information behavior research. So what I will do is first identify the challenges of modern information environment and then describe potential contribution of information encountering in human information behavior towards addressing these challenges. Now, a long time ago, and we are not too far, we are in the neighborhood, Greek philosopher Heraclitus, yet to summarize simply, there is nothing permanent except change. And historically, Change has been a constant factor in development of technologies we are using today and the way how we interact with information. For example, in less than 20 years, we have evolved from using fixed telephones to using what we all have today, mobile telephones. And surprisingly, probably to those who lived 20 years ago, these telephones now are more capable than desktop computers I had only 10 years ago. So who would predict this rapid pace of change with information technology? Secondly, as we heard from the introductory lecture by Dr. Sarah, a key characteristic of our modern information environment is abundance of data. Consulting startup Domo, and you can find them on www.domo.com, reports that 90% of data that exists today, which is about 2.55 quintillion bytes, has been created only in the last 2 years. So we are producers of data on steroids. That's basically what we are. So this exponential growth in data production is astounding, and what will happen, it will further pull creation of new information on even higher level. And you can see here that I make distinction between data and information, because not all data is information, but definitely having so much data would pull creation of additional information. So the image you see here might remind some of you of another Heraclitus saying, which is, no man ever steps in the same river twice. Well, it was easy for him to say that if you think of river as a slow pacing stream. But just imagine us experiencing this change of data in the river being Niagara Falls, which is this picture that I'm showing here. So this is another big change that we are experiencing. Now, following up on what Tefko just said early on, there is also a lot of change that permeates how we perceive and evaluate quality of information. And here, there isn't really much to add to what Tefko said. However, I want to emphasize one more, that the perception of centralized organizations, either government or news agencies, as sole providers of quality information is actually being challenged. We all know that it's being challenged. We heard before that even they were not always providing quality information, but definitely these days that they are not perceived as the only providers. So crowdsourcing through social media has emerged as an informal mechanism for checking quality and the reliability of information. But also, as we know, it proved to be a way of sharing dissemination and disinformation. So it is not really surprising that many people are finding it really difficult and confusing to navigate this new landscape. It is rich with quote-unquote information that has questionable quality and really questionable reliability. The question that I had for Tefko, but didn't have a chance to ask, is how does quality relate to relevance? But we can discuss this during the coffee time or lunchtime. So there is another change that I would like to emphasize, which basically is close to my own heart as a researcher. And this is change in how we acquire information. Here I would like to proudly profile a work of one of my PhD students, Borchel Nyadazurn, originally from Mongolia, and she was trained as a news reporter in Mongolia. Her work is based in a library information science research tradition, even though she was trained as a news reporter. And she studied application of information encountering, or as I said, serendipity in information behavior in the context of news reading,
In her study, she identified there are two types of news reading encountering. And I'm focusing here on news reading because a lot of our discussion is about fake news. So one thing that she discovered that her participants encountered, meaning serendipitously came across news while they were doing some other activity, reading email, even not any information behavior, riding on a bus, talking to people. So this finding was not surprising to her. However, the second finding was surprising. She found that people also reported encountering news while actually consuming news. This was quite a novel insight, because if you are reading news, how could you be surprised that you are reading news? Isn't news in itself, surprising? What's that additional surprise? So the way how they described their surprise was, we were surprised because what we saw was weird, bizarre, outrageous, and off the wall. Now, you may have noticed that her dissertation was done in 2010. So the impact of these findings in 2010 was not clear yet. This was reported, didn't really know what it exactly means. However, from the hindsight of 2018, interest in this second type of news among the participants may be what explains the epidemic of fake news that we have today. So at that point, we were not aware that we actually maybe had a glimpse of what people in 2017, 18 would experience, and how they would be attracted to to following and sharing fake news. Now, additional evidence of proliferation of information encountering of news came also from 2015 study by American Press Institute. And this study surveyed a sample of 1,000 American millennials. These are young people, and it identified that they are avid accidental news consumers, which means that at least in the news consumption, there was a big switch from finding news as some kind of routine activity, exposed to regular news sources, to accidental or encountering of news. So I would like to summarize the 4 points that I made so far in terms of the importance of change in our modern information environment. And I'll try to be louder than the signal out here. So first, we have a situation that there is a rapidly changing information technology environment. Second, there is exponential growth in quantity of information that is generated. Third, there is a change of perception about quality of information. And finally, we have change in how people acquire information. So all of these elements create what I would call, and I'm presenting here, a perfect storm of an environment that puts extremely huge new demands on information literacy. All these 4 forces together. Usually you need 4 forces to create a perfect storm. You saw the movie Perfect Storm that was filmed a couple of years ago. So the challenge that information literacy experiences is how to design information literacy programs that meet and address all these changes. And I would argue that traditional perspective of information literacy, even though has served us well a lot, doesn't actually deal with the concept of change very successfully. First of all, it focuses that users have to demonstrate specific characteristics to be information literate, and these characteristics are basically present in many of the process models of information literacy. But it doesn't really contextualize these activities in a way that they would resist and survive across the changes that are happening as I described them. So basically there is little adaptability to the change. Now, Sheila Weber and Bill Johnston wrote in 2000 that this behaviorist approach needs to be replaced with more contextual approach. And what I would like to propose is an approach that takes into account changes in information behavior as a main force in adjusting, in creating this new perspective towards information literacy. So the way I call it is new approach to information literacy with an information encountering twist. The three components of this approach are, first of all, expanding behavioral techniques, meaning using the techniques of behavioral tasks that people are supposed to be doing in the context of information literacy, but adding some new activities to them. Then creating strong reflective awareness about the new ways how people acquire information, specifically with a focus on information encountering. And then also practicing these skills in the context of embedded practices in various types of environments. And very briefly, I'm on slide 10. I'm going to summarize each of these components. First, the reflective awareness about information encountering basically is related to presenting to people that bumping into information is acceptable and helpful way of information acquisition. People shouldn't be afraid of it. Also, we need to help people identify their information encountering styles and their information encountering preferences. Are they super encounters, people who have these experiences all the time? And finally, we need to have organizational support for these type of practices, both in business context and also in educational environments. So not to see these experiences as improper and these experiences as not the right way of finding information. Next, I mentioned expanding behavioral techniques of information literacy. We have a good set of techniques that I just shared a little bit earlier that help people identify their needs, follow those needs, find sources, evaluate the quality of sources. This is all okay. I'm not saying we should get rid of all of it. However, we need to follow some of the findings for information behavior research on information encountering, on information behavior research on browsing, and add these new techniques into this noise to expand other behavioral techniques. Here I list, for example, techniques on improving how we notice information, what is differentiated information that catches our attention. Techniques for deciding should we stop and examine some information or should we just continue with what we are doing. Then techniques for capturing, collecting what we find and saving it either for future use or putting it into use right away. And those of you who will attend my workshop tomorrow will have an opportunity to explore these techniques in a bit more detail. So I'm not going to talk too much about it here. But one thing I would like to emphasize is that all these techniques need to be taught with information technology tools, and many tools need to be demonstrated. However, knowledge about these techniques need to be information technology agnostic and independent of them. Meaning, The only way we can capture change and be on the top of change is not teach specific skills that are dependent on specific technology. Skills need to be used with technology, but presented in a way that they are technology independent, so that they change and survive the test of technologies over a period of time. And then finally, and I feel that this is probably the strongest component of what I was explaining so far, is that we need to discuss these new paradigm of information literacy through embedded practices of information encountering. Now, if you think about when we talk about information literacy up to now, typically we think of it presented in some type of educational context, usually K-12 type of context. And I'm not saying we should not do this anymore. Obviously, educational context is one of the prime areas through learning how to use library resources, doing library research, where we should continue doing information literacy. But we need to also extend it to everyday information activities. For example, news reading, using social media, but also to a variety of specialized information context. For example, some of my research and research of my students is focused on legal information inquiring, health information inquiring, business and competitive intelligence inquiring if you work in corporate setting, and also even the intelligence gathering in terms of homeland security. So these are all areas where we need to embed these novel practices of information literacy enriched with information encountering experiences, and then explain these processes and also allow people time to practice and reflect about these processes. So this is all that I have prepared. I hope that I didn't run across the time. Good. And if you would like to learn more about it, tomorrow at 1 o'clock from 1 to 2:20, I will be giving a workshop, and come and maybe you will even win one of those super duper I'm a super encounter t-shirts that I
Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any questions for Mrs. Sandra-Willis for this topic? Yes. Mr. Jesus?
Thank you for this presentation. My question is, can you apply this model to media literacy?
Yes, yes.
The same way as information.
Yes, basically, it's part of the surprise that I presented with the study on the news reading, which is part of the media literacy, is that we assume that when you use media, you expect to be surprised, because that's the idea of news. We're providing you something new. However, there is an equal element of surprise when the news are presented in this type of exaggerated, eye-catching way. And learning how to experience this information is a cross-section between learning how to be a better in information encountering and how to be good in media literacy.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
If not, see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to continue with our presentations. So the next topic is the role of search engines in website content regarding fake news. And the presenter is Mr. Milius Friedland from South Africa.
Thank you. I've got 15 slides. That's the first one. The last one is a question one, so there's 13. So it's like I'm more or less in line. I don't know why I'm the first speaker after the big names. On the one hand, maybe working against me, you might think or expect a similar quality presentation, which you might not get, I don't know. But in my favor, you might be so dazed and overwhelmed that you don't notice that it's a different presenter, it's not even a speaker. So, I normally teach my students when they do their first presentation or conference presentation, do not start with an excuse. You don't have to say, I'm nervous, it's my first one, you know, they can see you sweating. You don't have to make excuses for the technology not working, it happens all the time. Just start the presentation. But as you get older, you start breaking your own rules. So my first excuse, I'm not a library person by training, like most of you are. I'm not a web designer either. I'm sort of somewhere floating in the middle. My research is about website visibility, search engines, the way search engines see websites, information retrieval, content creation, and so on. The second excuse, this research project is not the traditional, here's a research problem, here's a methodology, here's some lovely results, here's some stats that nobody will understand, and here's a groundbreaking conclusion. It's more an attempt to marry a fake news thing with my background in terms of understanding search engines and the way they view website content. So the background is website visibility, a bit of usability, Jacob Nielsen was mentioned, and then Black Hat SEO. Black Hat and White Hat were terms coined by the Americans, I know there's a few years something like that. SEO, search engine optimization, that's something people do to websites to optimize them for search engine consumption, trying to get better rankings, because especially in the commercial world, it's very important that the website ranks highly, otherwise you won't make money. In other words, it appears at the top of the rankings. And Black Hat refers to things people do to websites, not people, to websites, which could be regarded as unethical in the sense of fooling the search engines to give a higher ranking than what the website actually deserves. Right, so I think, you know, better than I do, fake news is very old. This familiar picture from 1894, where Mr. Pulitzer is waiting for news items, and the little guy in the top left-hand corner in the red circle running towards him with a fake news item. Fake news is disruptive. It doesn't go well with the flow of normal life. It's against the normal way we expect things to happen, so it's a negative thing. But probably the most important point here is that fake news is just another form of website content. It's a web page that you're looking at, that somebody created. The fact that it's fake news is almost irrelevant at that stage. And because of that, fake news is subject to the search engines reading those fake news pages, indexing them in a certain way, and then subsequently, if people search for certain information, they might find that as part of the results on the screen. So in that sense, fake news is no different from any other web page you might think of. We've seen some definitions there, information that is not truthful, and that probably has some motivation behind it, why it's being presented. And then the role players who are relevant in this whole fake news scenario. Firstly, the platforms where fake news are being hosted, and we'll talk more about that later. Libraries. Why is the library, university library in general, relevant to fake news? I believe it's because the perception of something and the truth is not always the same thing. It's often important to consider how people perceive something rather than what is really the truth. Now, the perception is that a library, especially a university library, is a source of all good, true knowledge. Now, fake news is showing that to be not the case. And people's perception out there is, well, the library, they didn't create it, but they're responsible for it because they're the keepers of truth in whatever format. So that's why I think this conference is there, because it's something that people in the library world should care about. Talk about social media later. Young consumers are obviously very much on the forefront because they are users of social media, and fake news plays a big role in their lives. Website content, come back to that. The way search engine crawlers work, automated software, they're very good at indexing, reading a web page, the text part of it, and storing it somewhere, and then later on presenting it again on your screen when you're looking for information. And then thirdly, the targets. Who and what are the kind of things that fake news is mostly about. And it's proven to be politics, finance, and celebrities. If you're involved in any one of those three, it's likely that there will be some fake news popping up in that area. And that was a bit of possibly motivation behind this. Why would anybody spend a lot of time on something they're not paid for? Creating fake news. It's often a big campaign, a social media campaign that's behind it. Why would anybody do that? And we'll have to find some answers later on. So the platforms, we used to have the good old HTML coding. That's an extract from the coding of this website, the conference website. That's the old way of doing it, very time consuming, very laborious. It might take you 2 hours to code a very simple web page using HTML. But HTML is still the only understandable language for your process in your computer. So since then, people have figured out better ways to do things called content management systems. And you might recognize WordPress over there, which by the way was designed to be a blog platform, not a website design platform, but it's used that way. Around 40% of all websites in the world are hosted on WordPress. And then Joomla and Drupal, those three together are the big three CMSs. So a content management system is just an interface that allows you to create a website without getting your hands dirty, without coding and knowing all the technical stuff that goes on under the bonnet. And then comes social media platforms, which you all know is very popular and in many cases the source of all the problems. But surprise, social media platforms are just content management systems. They are clever ways that the social media companies, Facebook, Twitter, you name them, are getting you and me to spend our time to write content for them without paying us. So every time you put a post on Facebook or you tweet about something, you are writing content on their website, which they hope is so interesting that other people will like it and also go to that website and contribute some more, carrying on in that way. And of course, what's behind all of this, if Facebook gets 2 billion eyeballs per day, per 24-hour period on their web page, and only 1% of that number of people, divided by 2, two lines, react on an advertisement. And only 1% of the 1%, which sounds a very small percentage, but it's a large number of people, actually buy something, it's worth the effort because they've got the eyeballs. So social media is just another content management system. The difference is you are writing the content for them and not paying you. With normal websites, you've got to pay somebody to create the website and write the content. So, website content we've gotten used to anyway, is either written by journalists or by copywriters. Both groups of people are well trained in writing content in a way which is acceptable to the online user, which is very different from book content, from newspaper content, from the traditional ways of presenting information. But these people require time and therefore money to do the job. I'm told a typical copywriter might require a day to write 4 or 5 good web articles. Web articles, 200, 300, 400 words of well-written, SEO-friendly text. Do 5 of those a day, that's quite a bit of money if you want to create lots of content. So website content, arguably the most important factor in Google's ranking, warranted content, is expensive. And the moment anything is expensive and it makes money, some people will try to find a way to get past spending a lot of time on making something that can make them money. So the cheaper way is to use content spinning, which is automated software. There's lots of them available where you supply seed content, a few paragraphs of well-written text in English, preferably. You prove that you are human by completing a captcha, and it converts that text within a fraction of a second to another set of content, which to a crawler will look different because there's different words in there. But it says the same thing. However, if there's any links in the original piece of text, they are retained, and that's an important thing. So, by using content spinners, you can create thousands of chunks of content which appear to be similar, badly written, if there's time I can do a demo, badly written, but the crawler will find the link inside and say, oh, there's another link to that website, it must be an important website. If it finds 1,000 links like those within a day, it's going to say, well, something is happening on that website. So if somebody searches for the Trump Clinton campaign, take them to that website, because that seems to be relevant. So there is a cheaper way, in fact, to create lots of content. Not a lot of content, but it's not intended for humans to read. It's intended for the search engine crawlers. So yes, there's ways of creating fake news, if you like, for free. On our website, at the bottom right, there's some tools, and some of them are the content spinners. If there's time, I can demonstrate it later afterwards. The left-hand one, for example, creates computer science conference papers. It was written by MIT students, and they submitted the paper. If you look at it, it's complete rubbish, but it's grammatically correct. They submitted the paper and got it accepted at a certain conference in the States. And they had a stall at the conference advocating the story, and of course they were shut down. So you supply, if you run the program, a few surnames, your own problem, one of them. It then creates a fake conference paper with grammatically correct English, but if you read it, you can see, if you don't know anything about computer science, you can see there's something wrong here. It's not quite believable. And then if you look at the references which it creates, of course, you find your own surname there, plus unknown people like Einstein and Hawkins and others. So it looks above board for a crawler, but not for the human. And then the others, and there's many more than the one on the right-hand side is a typical content spinner, where you put in your paragraph of text on the left-hand side, click on I'm a human, and on the right-hand side it will provide some different but similar content, but badly written. However, the links will be there, and that's the important thing. So, the targets, we said politics. Okay, no mention of politics specifically involving any political party or person, but the case of the Trump campaign is an overused example where it was claimed, I found no evidence, that Russian agencies, not the KGB, a digital agency, a small company that do digital marketing, were paid by heaven knows who to create around 500 false Facebook pages, each one with a photograph of a person, a name, an address, and then some text, some content, saying something like, did you know what Hillary Clinton has done lately? And then a link to some other pre-prepared site. 500 of them. And an investigative journalist took up one of these pages, went to the city, spent a few days there, tried to find this person. Photograph, address, telephone number, everything was given. The person didn't exist. So as a result, they were convinced, Facebook were convinced to close 473 of these 500 pages, but only after they were activated and did what they were supposed to do. So politics seems to be one target for fake news. Financial markets, or financial matters in general. It's been proven that you can use sentiment analysis software to look at whatever is trending on Twitter, whatever is causing a spike on Twitter. So you might find that suddenly there's a lot of talk on Twitter about this stock market being increasing in value very shortly for some reason. And if you follow that trend, and if you're behind all of this, it's then very easy to buy those stocks before the trend peaks. Then hopefully the stock market will go up, the price of this stock will go up dramatically, and then you sell 2 days later by manipulating social media, which we know is just website content. that somebody has created, somebody with enough motivation and skills to create that, leading the search engines astray to present you with information that you might not know is actually fake. And then the third one, well, a royal couple, not maybe celebrities, but similar. Now this was done about 2 weeks before my paper was submitted, before the royal wedding. And if you Google Meghan Markle or Prince Harry wedding cancelled, the second result says Prince Harry calls off the wedding. So does the third one and the last one, which at the time I didn't know whether it was fake news. It was before the wedding, but obviously afterwards, as we know, it did happen. So it's probably a case of fake news. I don't know what the motivation was behind this. Maybe selling more newspapers or magazines online, I don't know. But fake news is alive and well, and it seems to be prevalent where there's money, authority, and possibly fame at stake. I don't know. In this case, I don't suspect the people involved are behind the scenes, but other people might be. So why is it suddenly so common? Your little 10-year-old brother's son can create a page, a web page, without much skill, within half an hour, and put any content on there, which has not been checked by any librarian or any gatekeeper of any sort. And it's available out to the search engines and therefore to users to find it. So it's easy to create websites and put content on it. You're doing it every day through social media. That's the one thing. Search engines are quite quick. A few years ago, Google took on the average 19 days. If you create a new domain, put a new website on there, and submit it through Webmaster Tools, it'll take on average 19 days for the crawler to come and visit your domain, index it, waiting for people to do a search and produce this website as a result. Currently, it's a few hours, call it a day if you like. If you check every day at the same time, within 1 day, Google will index your brand new domain if you submit it for indexing. So it's quick. Those days are over of waiting weeks and even months. As a result, if there's some fake news at stake somewhere, and it is of enough importance and value, it can go viral very quickly, the logarithmic curve, which means the fake news creator has achieved whatever they wanted. So, conclusion, second last slide. We're used to journalists writing news, right? Because they do it well. They do all the basic SEO-friendly rules of creating content, maybe without knowing it, but they do it very well. So journalists are not writing fake news. Surely they wouldn't. What motivation do they have to spend a lot of time without being paid to do something that's not true? So the answer is probably very widely spoken. Anybody who's got the motive to get money or fame or power out of it, indirectly maybe. It doesn't help much, it doesn't help us identify these guys, but I think it paints a profile picture of the kind of person that might be behind it. And the problem is very similar to the fight between search engines and black hat SEO. It's been going on for 2 decades, where the search engines are always trying to find ways to identify spam sites, spam indexing actually sites. The spam police, Google's Matt Cutts, was in charge of a whole team of people doing exactly this, trying to identify with software which web pages are black hat SEO. They've got thin content, they've got all the things that proves or points towards manipulating the rankings. So another researcher said that blacklisting these sites, the way we do with predatory journals, is not really a solution. It happens too quickly. Something's trending, it happens within hours. We're going to find time for 1 or 20 or 100 human beings to sit down and identify these fake news sites and then list them. It's just not going to work. It's too quick. So any solution based on a human's performance will probably not be able to handle alone. Because we get tired, we want lunch and do things like sleep in between. We ask for raises, we complain when things are not comfortable. Software doesn't do that. Software just works 24/7 without ever asking for an increase. So the solution could be in automated software like Google Google users, they've got the expertise, 40% or whatever of their employees have PhDs, so there is life after PhD except academic conferences. And they do things like sentiment analysis. If I ask you and say, here's 10 tweets about a certain topic, you're a human being. Half an hour later you can come back and say, I've done my own brain-based sentiment analysis. 7 of these 10 are positive about the topic. 2 are negative, 1 is neutral. We can do that. But if I give you 10,000 tweets and ask you to do the same thing, it might take a month. By that time there's another 20 or 100,000 waiting. So we need software to do sentiment analysis and find out what is this text actually saying, what is the sentiment. And that could be used as a filter between Google's algorithm and the database and the search engine result page to suppress the fake news, thereby removing the motivation for it not appearing. I'm afraid there's no quick and easy solution. Press this button and fake news will disappear. It'll have to be specialized, very automated software, not human beings doing it. We can't keep up. Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Weidman? No? Okay, we do have one question.
It was very interesting presentation, the approach, specifically with spike works, but when we come to the conclusion that human intervention cannot help and let everything to automatic algorithms and systems, this is quite terrorizing.
Well, this fantastic software that we talked about has to be designed and coded by humans with intelligence. That's exactly the point. Software only has intelligence up to a point. AI was supposed to be the answer to all our problems. It never really worked out that way, but it's still going. That's a good idea. So the human brain has something software doesn't have, and that's the ability to look at, for example, a web page and say, but this is not trustworthy. I don't like this information. I don't believe it. Let's find another one. Software is a lot more difficult to get it to do that. We need a human behind it, many humans, to create software to act in the way we want the human brain to act, but much faster and continuous and never make mistakes. So the human is, we've got a reason to be here, not here just because born. I believe that answers your question.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have a question.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. I just read during the week that they had the IBM had its first debater robot, and it debated against human beings, and it was it's very basic, but it was able to criticize and argue against, so you don't know what's coming with AI in the future, but it's probably a long way off.
Okay, so that's correctly. It's about IBM's move to design some system, robot or something, to human argument. Is that right?
The debate. It was a debate.
A debate.
Yes.
That's also an old idea. The thing is, with a debate or an argument, you don't know what the other party is going to say when you say something. So you have to have a system, if you try and automate it, that can act on just about any response correctly. And again, it's an attempt to try and mimic the way our brains work into software in a way that can be useful, in this case, suppressing fake news. Yes, the world of AI and sentiment analysis and the way search engine crawlers work is becoming the most important focus area for the solution. I doubt if there will ever be a complete solution today. You can use program X and you never get fake news again. I don't think that's going to happen. But as motivation for suppressing fake news gets stronger and stronger, there will be more money going towards people writing software to do the job. So I don't know if that's in line with the point.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? No? Okay, then we will continue with the next presentation. created by Angelo Repanovic and Lando Manolis Kokourakis, if I pronounced it well, I hopefully have, from Greece. The topic is homework with Kahoot in copyright literacy.
Hello everybody. In our family, Western Balkans Information Literacy Conference, I see so many familiar faces from ESIL, European Conference on Information Literacy, from Wbilc. So we become now an important conference, let's say, in the field. I will present something very practical. Do homework with Kahoot. I will explain what is Kahoot, what is everything. And it's a joint presentation between my best friends from the world, Anne and Andor. Unfortunately, she's not here, but she's from University of Norway. And Manolis is from University of Greek Library. And in fact, I will start with the content. We will talk about copyright literacy. Copyright literacy become more and more important. All my students who came in first year of university not know anything about copyright, about what is copyright, how much long, and things like that. We have an international cooperation with copyright literacy. I will show you. We have a big network in this. We use gamification libraries, gamification copyright literacy, and uses Kahoot and a case study from Brazilian University of Russia. So copyright is a subject that increasingly has a major impact. And in UK now they have copyright, let's say, librarian. It's very important to teach users how to use information and how to use copyright law. Of course, copyright law is different in different countries. We have a different, it's about Convention of Berlin, but most are pretty the same. So I thought about UK University, and Sikar Jane and Morrison Chris, they are wonderful. They do a lot of job in copyright literacy. They have a website, they design games, and in each conference they presented about this copyright literacy. So, like I said, we built a network in this subject, international, and we had an international survey with 10 countries, Finland, Hungary, Lithuania, Mexico, Norway, Portugal, Romania, Spain, United Kingdom, and USA in this research in copyright literacy. And we found that there are gaps in existing knowledge of copyright and copyright literacy from library and information science community, and attitude in academic education and continuing professional education were investigated in these countries, those countries. And we published the results. We had last year at Wbilc, let's say, offline section in Wrocław with Jane Secker, Wilson, Kubanoglu, Sarah, you know about her. She is from Hatechepe University, head of library science department, and me and Anne and Todorova. It's a very, let's say, eager in copyright information. She is from Sofia, Bulgaria. She had, in fact, designed this research. And we published the result in library management last year. Here we are the whole author who participated in this survey. Also from Mexico, it's our friends such as Herbert Saunders, Jane from the United States. So it looks familiar. We worked hard from 3 years ago, and this is what we found. And finally we decided to make an application between these countries, Romania, Norway and Greece, and to decide to cooperate together and bring more in copyright literacy. So we talk a bit, I will briefly talk a bit about gamification. Maybe there are people who not agree that gamification can be used in education. There are people who prove that by gamification you can reach pedagogical skills and to learn students much easier. There are different approach. This was coined by Nick Perry in 2002, and in 2010 became more popular about gamification. And gamification in fact is transferring some of the positive characteristics of a game to something that is not a game, briefly. And those positive characteristics are often described as fun. And students now need tools like Facebook, like fun games and things like that. So, like definition, gamification, it's applying game design, not game application, to make them more fun and engaging. Engaging the class. I used to talk to the students who are like this. So this year I changed my style, and I use Kahoot, like assessment, and I use Wbilc. Wbilc is PowerPoint interactive. So students are in front of computer and talk with me, and I talk with them. I put questions and they answer in real time. And at the end we have a report. Who entered on Facebook and different things and not be attentive to the class and things like that. And they learn very much. This was my first experiment in my university. So, benefits of gamification, attention, what I told you. Participation, teamwork, because they have to work in teamwork and they become ambitious and things like that. Problem solving skills and user experiences. They learn much easily about different things, academic things. But also in libraries, it's used for many years, gamification. Traditional library services are designed to solve information, but scarcity by information. And most critical in time of so many information, so much information, inflation of information, it's engage people. How to engage people to solve the problems. So gaming, it's a proven tool for engagement. Okay, sorry. And these are some examples. There are millions of examples with using gaming in libraries, like gaming against plagiarism. This is a very nice game about citation. They have to click and to put the correct citation in this, and tic-tac-toe. It's a project from the United States, and another is this, magnetic keywords. They have to play the game and to put keywords correct for research questions. And it's funny and they learn a lot. So anyway, there are pro and contra opinion about gamification using. Even in our team, small team with Arne and Manolis, we had a lot of fight about this. Manolis is against, but finally he participated. He's a philosopher and he said philosophy can reach by game. I am an engineer. I said no, I'm sorry, it's better to teach the students like this. So there are different opinions. And anyway, does not guarantee user engagement or learning. And a clear goal, careful planning, and skillful execution are necessary for successful gamification project. So you have to know what you want, what are your goals, what you want students to engage. Maybe you want to build a teamwork, or students to work together, or something to engage, and it has to be planned. About copyright literacy, it is famous, copyright the card game, you know about. So this Second Chain and Morrison creates this, it's online, you have a PowerPoint about, you have cards, users play cards and they are teach about copyright literacy. What is a book, what is allowed, and things like that. It's very famous and used all over the world. We started from this in our collaboration, network collaboration. And about Kahoot, you know something? Kahoot is an online test or assessment. It's used and empowers students to shape their learning. I used to all my laboratories in information literacy this year, and they were very happy. They said, oh, it's first time we not get bored. And things like that. So it was very engagement. And now Kahoot open a new service to do homework with Kahoot. So I will show you. This is Kahoot from Kahoot website. You can have application on the mobile now, and you can engage with your students online by mobiles. So what I've done, to first year students from Transylvania University, I teach information literacy to engineering, to social science, and to medicine. But this is for engineering. I teach to medical engineering, optometry, and mechatronics. So I gave a lecture about copyright literacy, and at the end, I designed a test with 15 questions, and I sent to the students like a link on their email. They engage, and they had to answer to the test in 14 days. Kahoot permitted only 14 days. Okay, and the students were challenged about this, and we see by the way the link. I will show you the sorry. So this is in fact in Kahoot copyright literacy. Here it's a test about intellectual properties in Romanian, of course, and challenge is doing homework. If we do play, they have to do now. Okay, so I challenge the students. And here it's my Kahoot account, and it's very easy to correct the homework because I receive an Excel, I download, and I have all the results, how they answer and things like that. So for me, not so much work. And this is from Excel, okay? It was played, the author, it's copyright, okay? Played in 1st of April, I challenged the students, I had 40 players, and total correct answer was 7293, okay? And in fact, these are the results of my students. I put like this because from 33 May we are under the new law of protecting data and things like that. My PhD students will talk about this later. And I am not allowed to put names, as you know. And only 2 students had correct answers to all, the rest not. Here it's question summary, I have question summary, final score, results for question 1, question 2, and so on. And at the question 15, I put this question: do you think Kahoot homework is very useful in your learning process? And they answered, I'm sorry, it's in Romanian, yes, it's adapted our generation, 33 from the students, and like this, so they like very much. I don't have any opinion, 1. I don't think it's serious, 1. And I think it's pedagogic, 2. So, in fact, most of the people, 33 students said, yes, it's adapted to our generation. So, in conclusion, the new generation prefers assessment online and think it's a good pedagogical approach, it's good. Tests can be easily created and teacher can also very easily correct and have okay results. And in fact, we present this model because can be used by any librarian, any student, any professor, any teacher who teach copyright literacy. And because I don't want to get bored anymore, I'm sorry, how can I mistake here? Okay. If you agree, I have a prize, and we can have a test in copyright literacy. Okay. I hope I close my application. Somebody close my application. But I don't give up. And this is mine. Okay, this is my account in Kahoot. And this is my test I use with my students. Where is my test? Copyright literacy, you see? It's something for the necessary. Well, no, this is for my students. It's in Romanian. What is this? It's up here. Right. Okay. No, it's not. No, it's not this. I'm sorry. What happened? Where it is? Here. Okay. It's a new format. Okay. No. Not results. Sorry. I don't have a mouse. I have not used it.
Next page.
Here, my Kahoot. Okay. Just a moment. Prepare your mobile phones. Okay. file on Kahoot 8. Kahoot 8, yes? Like this. Ready to join? Yes. So, Kahoot 8 and put this picture. And on your phones, if it's possible, yes? Kahoot 8 and say, we ask about this pin. Put the pin, and after that put your nickname or your name. Okay? Have a prize here. Okay? Okay? Also, you, MM, Gordana, Jensi, please. Okay, yes. We have only 6 players. We wait for more or not? Yes, wait. So put this in, okay? Attention, how it works. In 20 seconds, you have to touch the right answer, yes? In fact, who will win is not only that put correct answer, how quick it was. Okay, so, values, 11, it's okay? We go? 16, okay. Is that? Is anybody who wants to play and not have okay. So see the answer here and touch the right color, okay, on your phone. For students, in my experience, for students, it's not very good to use with their mobile phone because they don't have the same smartphone and things like that, and it's not correct. In the lab, everybody in front of his computer, it's much better, yes, from my experience. When I teach to medicine, everybody has better computers than the professors have. Okay, start. Copyright homework test. Are you ready? Yes. Choose the best definition of copyright. Protection of person's idea, allow protecting the rights of an answer, copyright someone's word, or allows you to use words with value for the answer. We still have 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Yeah, let's see who is a winner of this question. Net. Who is Net? Hello, Net. We don't give surprise to anybody. Okay. Question 2. Allows you to use copyright work without permission for school music recording family. Public domain, fair use, copyright, Creative Commons. Okay, 4, 3. So, in fact, it was fair use. Only 4 of you choose a red. Oh, net. Okay, we'll see at the end. So, question 3. An alternative to full copyright permission to use someone's work under certain condition is public domain, plagiarism, fair use, or Creative Commons. But I give you the answer, okay? We were talking during our conference, yes? Oh, 30 people. Very good. Net, Sandra, you, Gerard, you are here. Question 4. A work that does not fall under copyright law is Creative Commons, fair use, public domain, common knowledge. Net, Sandra, Elena, Gerard. Okay, copyright lasts 70 years after the death of 1,000. True or false? Sandra. So copyright protects ideas for us. I don't know, here little differences by United States and Europe. Sorry, I didn't think about it. Okay, we will see. Yes, in the United States protect ideas? No, also it's the same. Okay, Sandra. Yeah. Question 7 from that. Can I use works like it? Creative Commons if I follow the rule listed? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, yes. Gordana, yeah. MM, please, MM. Okay, next. Can I legally download music movies for free? Yes, no, maybe. Okay. Maybe. Next. Who is that? Who is that? Can I legally upload a video of me lip-syncing a popular song to YouTube without permission? Yes, no, maybe. No. Okay, net. And the last question. Can I use other people's work with permission? Credit and payment. Next. Podium. Sandra is the first, Ned second, because it's about the quick rapidity elsewhere, and MM is the third. Sandra, it's our and if it is a model how to use with your students when it's the case. Thank you very much for attention. Questions?
This was fun.
Okay. Okay.
So now we're going to try to connect with the PhD. No, sorry, apologies. My apologies. We're going to hear from Mr. Dalibor Bihać from EBSCO. He's ready.
I'm not a PhD, unfortunately. I was here, so I'm here representing EBSCO. EBSCO was here last year as well, and we are very glad actually that we have the opportunity to help organize this conference and use knowledge conference. I also want to extend the warm regards from Dragan Nikolic, my colleague who was not able to join here, but he sent big regards to all of you, and especially Angela and Alice. Big hugs from Dragan, but I'll do it later. And I'm also extending my regards from Miss Marina Milanovic, who is a don't think I'll have that interesting presentation as Angela did with all of those games. I'm sorry for that. But anyhow, I think that you'll be able to see something interesting. EBSCO is working with libraries all around the world. EBSCO has the biggest non-free paid search engine used by academics. And we are using that big amount of data and the number of libraries that we are working actually to see the trends, to see how what's going on in the market and how students are reacting to the tools that are using today. And more and more situation that we see on the field is actually this, that this is the library. With EBSCO, on EBSCO host platform now, more than 15% of the traffic, meaning of searching for academic papers, are coming from the mobile devices. So practically, students are accessing more and more from their tablets, from their mobile phones, while traveling, while in public transport, etc. And this is very, very important for the libraries to know and to try to adopt that. And when you think a little bit about that, the new generation of students actually, they grow up with Facebook, with Google, and with their mobile phone. When they want to go out, they check Google where to go out. When they want to contact a friend, they don't make a call. They just go and send a message on Facebook. So they are kind of growing up with different tools that we use. And if we want to get their attention and to send them the content, the quality content that we want, we need actually to play their game. We need to use the tools that they are using, and we need to pass those messages to them on the devices, on the mobile phones, on the tablets that they are using. We cannot anymore expect them to come to the library and use our desktop computers and printers. We need to play their game. So what we also noticed all around the world as EBSCO, we are working with more than 100,000 libraries all over the world, is kind of the problem that the libraries are having facing passing the message they want to their students. More and more students are not coming to the library. They don't go there. They think that everything they should have should be in electronic version, etc. I met the client in another day, and they wanted their authentication method is linked to their library card. And when I asked why is that, what do you want to achieve to them? Well, we want to to have statistics about number of users who take the library card. So they were forcing the students to come into the library just to take the library card, so that they have some number of students that they are working on. And then when we discussed, okay, how do you track that? What is the number of users? How often they are using that? There was no good answer on that, and now they're deciding to change that approach. So there must be other tools and other ways to interact with students. And when you ask students how they want to get information they have, the typical answer is online. Now you can have their bar somewhere there. Yeah, I want my through my Facebook account, I want university account to have access to everything provided by university, to books, to electronic resources, to university email. I want everything to that account. So there are many different things, but the question, but everything is electronically and everything is mobile. Not in the library premises, but whenever they are, it's at the moment. And so this is what is needed. Now the question is how to achieve that. And the common thing when they are still going is the library website. So you will have a chance to interact with them there on your library website. They will come there. So they know that there is a library. They don't know much more, and how they will try to actually to get anything there is the library website. And there we have a chance to interact with them, but again, with very small number of times. If information that they are looking for are not on the library website, they will come once, twice, and then they will go away. They will not come the third time if they don't have information they need, they will rather go to. So we need to prepare, practically on the library website, we need to prepare them everything what the library should offer to them. And you need a tool to do that. So in practice it sounds very, very easy. You practically create a website that you put everything what you there, your electronic resources, your catalog, your database, everything you want to go there. It's good if you make it, the simpler it is for them, it's better. Most of them do not understand the difference between the database, between the catalog, between the index, the graphical database. And they aren't interested. They just want to get the full text on their mobile device. They don't know what to want all those details. So in theory it sounds simple. However, many libraries that are trying to do that facing issues. And when you start investigating how to do why there is a problem with that, there was always an IT-related issues. So, and IT engineers are scarce resource in libraries. Many libraries don't have IT people at all, or they have very few of them. In some other cases, the library website is a part of the university website, so the library does not have influence much on that. When they want to put the new content, it goes very slowly. They need to go to departments and departments of the university. So practically, that is out of their control. And when things are moving slow, you just cannot keep the pace with what's going on elsewhere, and you cannot easily get to. And as a result of all of that, we perhaps for maybe a year or so ago launched the Stacks platform. And that is basically a tool that helps librarians to provide all or almost all the services that the library would like to have to students on a very easy way. And it works with mobile phone, tablets, computer, of course. So the key thing here is to provide students everything they want with the search box, with the interface they use to work, and that is kind of very easy for the librarian. And now we have this in practice, so as the last implementation we had, it literally took 6 hours for the library to get the training and put the content they want there without an IT department. So this is kind of really the speed that you cannot imagine if you have the regular IT department or the outside company to build what you want. This is the kind out-of-the-box solution. It is not 100% customizable. There are things that come there, but it's very, very fast, and you can do things very, very easily. So, and this is practically all the tools where I need to make changes. This is the dashboard platform where you after a couple of hours of training provided, you are able to change everything on your website here. I'm not sure how good you can see it on the screen, but actually moving the content on the library website is just like moving a mouse. There is no need for programming, no need for IT specialists. So there is one version of the website, another version, third version, only with a couple of clicks. So, and everything, again, what is important is the power of the librarians. They don't need to interact with the IT department. And everything what you change, actually, everything what you make here, it works with all of your content, so it can easily be connected with your catalog, with the databases you have, with the discovery service you have, and it works on most platforms. This is an example of how it works with integration with search results. So you are able to show different results, different facets, different columns in a very, very easy way. And when it comes to cost, the things again comes much cheaper than building the site out of the box. So in short, this would be kind of content management system with many things that you want to share with your students. It's practically built for librarians, and I'll just now mention a couple of things that every or almost every library you use, and that comes here out of the box, meaning that is live automatically. So I mentioned all this searching, all the database catalogs, other things that you have. Then social media integration, which is very important in today's world. You want the event management system, location and hours to go surveys, forms, so to get information from your student, integration with discovery service if you have one, with multi-language support and help desk finally. So all of those things you can just have out of the box with this solution. And as I mentioned, the training program is quite short. That's all you need, and there is more and more resources available online. I think that my time is running out, so this will be all from my side, unless you have any questions or contact.
Any questions for Dalibor? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will be here for the rest of the conference, so if you have anything, we can chat.
Okay, I guess we will have Radko present this project, since we weren't able to make a connection with Dr. Tunç.
Very welcome once again to everyone. I'm afraid that my colleagues from Ankara are really busy in Tajikistan doing the same job, so that's why I will just make a short explanation of what has been done referring to the Sloper project and Sloper way of education we did in Ankara. And bearing in mind that we are running out of time, I will try to make my presentation quite short. So, as you can see, the title is Synthesizer Model for Non-Formal Education based on Sloper dimension and its application into implemented Erasmus project implementation for Syrian refugees in Turkey. What has been done? As you know, there are a lot of refugees down there in Turkey, and we came to an idea to voluntarily help those kids by working in public libraries, private hotels with them, schools, etc. Through, as Angela mentioned a few minutes ago, through gamification that has been mentioned for the first time by Nick Sloper in 2002. So what we did, the content of this presentation will include introducing the synthesizer model and Sloper dimension for non-formal application, information on the project for model application, because we merged two projects in one row, you will see later, and application for the synthesizer model and Sloper dimensions into the project cases, results, outcomes, and suggestions. Can you see well? It's a little bit small font. Anyway, as you know, there are several explanations, as I said, regarding non-formal education and in difference in relation with informal and informal. Non-formal education learning. You can see here learning types and descriptions. So formal learning, which is typically provided by an education or training institution, schools, whatever. Non-formal education, that can be learning that is not provided by an education or training institution, and typically does not lead to any formalized certification after all. And informal learning, like learning resulting from daily life activities, etc. The synthesizer model and Sloper dimension that has been developed by Professor Tunç from Bihać University of Ankara for non-formal education speaking now. In learning, non-formal can be seen as a continuum between informal and formal. What's the abbreviation for Sloper? You can see sources, no cost or high cost. In our case, it was no cost, we voluntary there. Learners, organization, process, education, result we achieve. Let's say a few words about project background. Project management was established by academicians from 7 countries from Europe. It was due to the Syrian refugee crisis, and there were 2 project selectors. We are developed and implemented by co-authors, and the co-authors and the leaders of the project were digital Magic Year Group, that is an association that deals as a part of Yıldırım Beyazıt University in Ankara. The first one was called, as you can see, Youth Give Hand to Syrian refugee children, and that's EU Youth Mobility Project. And the second one, Knowledge Generation, that has been used to develop the curriculum for Syrian refugee children that is even now continuing. You know, they taught them as per that project, and it was called Do Not Forget Them. Over here you can see some beginning, I would say, we did with them as warming up or energizing, you know. That was done in the public library in Ankara. The second project, Knowledge Generation, let's develop a curriculum for them, was done by the experts coming from Syria, Jordania, Sweden, etc. Application results of the synthesizer model and slope dimension to the project first one. As you can see, I'm sorry I will be a little bit in a rush because we are running already 10 minutes of time. This is the same thing applying to the project number 2. As you can see, the result in learning experience and knowledge by participation certificate, and the educators were really good academicians that voluntarily, on a voluntary basis, supported by invited official experts. And all expenses, I mean, flights, etc., hotel accommodation, were covered by TNA, Turkish National Agency. Sloper can be presented as traditional sloper chart because you can see here the learning curve is on your right hand side. And okay, I really try to be as short as possible because we are already 17 minutes out of time. So if any questions, I will be available after refreshment. Now we will go back, and please, the schedule you were provided will be delayed for 10 minutes, so I would like to see you here at 12:10, not 12 sharp, please. So, half an hour of refreshment break downstairs. Thank you.
Hello everybody, welcome back. We are going to start with our presentations. First of all, you will see a Skype presentation from Alkarai. She's a deputy librarian at Ambedkar University in Delhi, India. And the topic is, where do women stand in India?
So once again, a very good afternoon down to India. How are you, Alka?
I'm fine. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you. So just one thing before we start, please. We will have your presentation on our hand side. So whenever you wish, the webmaster will be told when you just, you can tell him, I mean, next slide please, and he will change. We will have your photo on, live, and we will change slides for you. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Please. You can start.
Okay. First, Namaskar and greetings from India, New Delhi. First, I would like to thank conference organizers for giving me this opportunity to Skype, to give my presentation through the Skype. And my best wishes are with you for the successful completion of the event. Since physically I am not here, so I would like to give a brief introduction about myself. My name is Alkara. I work with the Ambedkar University Delhi. Ambedkar University Delhi as a deputy librarian, and Ambedkar University Delhi is a pure humanities and social science university. And my research topic is digital divide. My interest is in digital divide, as most of you must be aware about the challenges of digital divide, and the situation is more tricky in the developing and least developing countries. That's why why I have decided to work on this. And in my paper, I have taken the gender perspective, especially the case of women in India, where do women stand. Can you please next slide?
Next slide.
Next. Internet has the ability to drive business development, extend social openings, financial expressions, urban support, activism, music and expression of the human experience. The way advantage of easy and online access to services have reached up to half of the world population today is remarkable and open the gate for more innovations. On the other hand, fast-moving technologies may create further gap between the people if not managed carefully. The World Economic Forum of 2016 at the Durban included the call for technological advancement to enhance the nation's development. In the same year, United Nations declared internet access as a basic human rights. However, more than 55% of total world's population do not have access to the internet services. 9% out of 10 who are not connected with the internet reside in developing world. The government of India has launched Digital India Initiative in 2014 with an aim to enhance the country to physical digital infrastructure and shifting government services to an online platform. Digital India Move expects broadband to reach up to more than 250,000 villages. Wi-Fi may extend up to 250,000 schools, and push would be made towards both universal phone connectivity and universal digital literacy until 2020. Next slide, please. There are some issues and challenges related to the digital divide. Recent studies shows women in developing countries have purposely lower involvement rates in use of information technology than men. India has 50% men of total issue, whereas fewer than 1/3 of total population of women have mobile phone ownership. In rural India, phone is restricted for women due to variety of reasons, including unequal gender relationship. The gap between men and women goes much deeper than ownership of mobile phone, access to internet services, and leads to a more concerning issues, that is digital gender divide. Next slide, please. What is digital divide? Digital divide is relatively a new term, a combination of digital and divide. Social divisions and marginalization are being looked from digital perspective. Therefore, digital divide is an economic and social disparity with regard to access to use of or influence of information and communication technology. The gap between individual household, businesses and geographic areas at the distinct socio-economic levels with regard to both their opportunities to access ICTs and their use of the internet for a wide variety of activities. Digital divide does not purely an interrogation of access to the digital technology, but about the capability to significant use of access to technology. According to UN, International Telecommunication Union Agency, 2016 internet penetration is at 81%. In developed countries, 40% in developing countries, and 15% in the least developed countries. Next slide, please. India is at 96th position on Network Readiness Index. This means only 15 of the 100 Indians have access to the internet. The mobile broadband subscription in India remains a matter of concern because the subscription rate is 5.5 of each 100 individuals. The reasons behind the non-adaptation of technology is lack of awareness, lack of infrastructure, and digital skills. It is also a hurdle at the individual level to use these services. International Telecommunication Unit also demonstrated that India stands at 138th place in ICT Development Index. And UN's international total internet penetration in India is 34%, equal to the urban population of the country, but access to the internet might be for a limited time every day. Next slide. This is the chart. We are social non-profit organization which every year it releases the digital in 2018, this year's data. It shows the total population of India is this, where 48.2% women and 51.8% male. And the literacy, total literacy rate is 72%, female literacy is 63%, and whereas the male literacy is 81%. Next slide. Digital gender divide. Internet infiltration rates are higher for men than for women around the world. As per the World Wide Web Foundation, the worldwide digital gender gap developed from 11% in 2013 to 12% in 2016. Africa represents the biggest gap at 23%, while the Americas constitute the littlest gap at 2%. Women are 50% less likely to be online than men once they are online. Once they are online, also less likely to use the internet to access important information related to their rights and empowerment. The digital gender gap is a result of lack of education, minimal digital skills, age, as older women in developing countries are less likely to be online than men. Next slide, please. The global trend is also not very exciting, as today women make up less than 40% of the total workforce in some of the top tech companies, and when considering only technology-related roles, they are even more underrepresented. Apple has the highest proportion of female employees in technological roles. However, this figure is still in only 20%. At Twitter, only 10% of tech positions are filled by the women. You can see this chart where women in technical jobs, the chart bar is very low side, and non-technical jobs are higher bar. And the source is the Statista. Next slide. This slide is about the digital gender gap in India. The census of India 2011 indicates that the female literacy rate was 65.5% compared to 80% for men. Nearly 23% of girls have a school dropouts before they reach to the puberty. The less participations of girls, women in education is lacking digital literacy at some states. There are two major factors responsible for digital divide in India. First one is rural-urban divide, second is gender divide. In urban India, gender-based digital segregation is less evident as connectivity and literacy rates are comparatively higher and social norms are less recent. In India, 60% of the total population have not internet access, and the worst is women, as only 23% of the total internet users are women. Next slide. Digital statistics, we are social. It's a non-profit organization which releases its annual report, as earlier I mentioned, in digital 2018. It indicates the global internet users have crossed the 4 billion mark, which is half of the total world populations. However, 1/4 billion new users came first time online in the last 12 months of 2017. Global average female literacy rate is 80% in comparison to global average male literacy rate is 88%. Total of 4.02 billion people are using internet, which is an average of 53% of the global population. The national internet penetration of India is 34%, just behind Ghana with 35%, and UAE on the top with 99% internet penetration. The number of users in India was unchanged in 2017, and it was same as of 2016, but there was an increase in the number of social media users by 41% of the total internet users in India. On an average, in India, internet users have spent 7 hours 25 minutes using the internet per day by any device, whereas spent 2 hours 26 minutes on using social media. In the list of the numbers of users using Facebook, India is on the top with 25 million users, which are 12% of the global Facebook users population. Next slide, please. See the financial inclusion factors in India. In India, 56% population have bank account, but only 4% people are using debit card. if we segregate the gender, only 2% women carrying credit card and 7% men. However, only 0.4%, less than 1% women are using their credit card for making online payment in comparison to 2% of the men. Next slide, please. If you see the social media, figures are more alarming because only 23% Facebook users have the female profile and 7% Facebook users have in India are the male, which is monthly active users of the Facebook. As of Pakistan, which is the greatest skew in the gender balance of people in social media. You can see that in the chart, in every age group, there is a disparity between the men and female the users of social media. Next slide. Over the last 2 decades, women's enrollment in technical education has gone up from 5% to 45%. New opportunities are being created, especially after 2007 in IT sectors. The new ventures, startups and technological advancements have helped improving access to internet services with advanced broadband infrastructure. But women continue to be reduced to the jobs which need only basic competence. Men enjoy the rewards and decision-making positions in the job market. In many parts of rural India, the potential of technologies are still underutilized because of the prevailing gender divide, traditional belief and value system. The confined mobility of women to access health and education services further make the situation concerning. Next slide. Some further steps which need to be taken. The government should focus on skills training on digital literacy, equip women of the nation. And the digital empowerment will lead not only in reducing existing social and cultural barriers but also making the economy a stronger one. The economic empowerment and the familiarity with technologies also result in easy access to higher education, job training and access to health care and realization of legal rights and democratic participation. Investing in women, accelerating broadband and ICT proposals to women and girls to lead to improved gender equality and empowerment for the men and women. Mobile operators also bring the required change in mobile ownership and mobile data use with gender-sensitive approach. Mobile companies, owners of social and internet sites, banks and government must join hands to equip men and with digital literacy. The picture at the ground is alarming and must be noticed by the policymakers, development agency and other concerns. Next slide. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Is there any questions, please?
Are there any questions for Alka?
If any question, please come here to the presentation of the user. So please pop up here.
No?
It seems no.
Is there any questions?
No questions.
Apparently not. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Next presentation will be held also by Skype by Aygerim Akilbayeva, Fariza Tursinova, Saltanat Meyramova from Kazakhstan. The topic is information literacy formation of students in multilingual context.
So my name is Fariza Tursinova.
Okay, you can start, please.
Hello, my name is Aygerim, and my colleague is Fariza Tursinova. We are from Kazakh Technical University, so the title of our article is Information Literacy Formation of Students in the Multilingual Context. So the purpose of our presentation is to present a picture of current needs for information literacy of students, and particularly technical and agricultural students of multilingual groups. in the digital age and to examine the level of the students' awareness about information literacy. As to the article, in this article we try to give the definition of multilingual education. It's on the second page of the presentation. And the next, as I already mentioned, the third one is the purpose of our article. Then goes the definition of information literacy. I think that we can everybody see from our presentations. And then if you skip to the next slide, there is given some information about our university and the organization of multilingual education in Slovak. There is some information.
But in 2012, multilingual education was introduced in Baku. Nowadays there are 5 campuses and 9 faculties and 85 educational programs, including 55 in multilingual ones. So bachelor programs, there are 11 programs with 623 students. Master programs, including 31 programs. And PhD degree multilingual programs, there are 23 programs with 94 PhD students. And also 160 lecturers courses in English. And every year we invite native speakers to teach our students and also teach our teachers. And 10 native speakers were involved to train lecturers and students within multilingual education. Also, in 2017, Dr. Rakov was invited to our university and he had some experience.
Okay, the next slide is about the relation between multilingual education and information literacy. It goes without saying that there is a strong link between information literacy and multilingualism, while information literacy is of immense importance to multilingual institutional higher education. This is the main reason why we consider the information literacy formation in terms of multilingual education. Next one is we have conducted some research. We used a monthly survey among bachelor, master, and PhD students. So there were 280 interviewers of 3 levels and the different specialties, different lectures. So in the presentation you can see some results. The intended wages of participants were across the board with about 7% of in agriculture, 7% in engineering, 60% in economics, and 3% in computer science. So the questionnaire would consist of 10 sections, and each section contains information about students' achievement, background, evaluation, and recommendations on the information literacy. So as you can see, mostly all the students agree that information literacy is necessary to be included in the curriculum. So they understand the importance of information literacy and can be used in different spheres. For example, while paper writing and during practical classes, or while searching some information on the internet, and of course for everyday life. So as a conclusion, you can say that the data analysis illustrates 3 main important points. The first one is school students have the general understanding of the information literacy, but some of the students do not have adequate knowledge of the information literacy skills. So that university-based implementation of information literacy framework should be considered. The second is mostly students become familiar with information literacy term only within the higher education program rather than in schools or colleges. So there is an idea that information literacy maybe should be introduced in the school or college programs. The third one is the result provides strong evidence of the need for information literacy formation in the multilingual education context, due to the fact that the respondents are trained in multilingual books, and also, for example, to search information through the internet, a person should have the knowledge of English. So, one more point to note is that now we are realizing a direct project on the basis of our university. So our director received some information about the direct project.
Hello everybody. Regarding this project, so we are not opportunities that we can implementing. So like has been implementing now the team, and due to this experience, we have developed some modules and some methods have been implemented regarding language literacy, information literacy, and implementing English to be taught to library people and also faculties. Regarding just briefly, if we say that what type of work has been in this project, I would like to say that working forward to this international organization has been really. Firstly, participating in working groups and finding local committee structures to ensure the dissemination of project results and the implementation of project initiatives in Kazakh and other outstanding Bihać. Also participate in design and delivery of the curriculum, learning of information literacy, and academic writing training and workshops, training of students and by helping to form networks of academic enthusiasts in DIPC universities and locally to enable awareness and the rollout of higher initiatives in Kazakhstan higher education institutions and enterprise reform. And the last one is lead the preparation packages, and we also play a lead partner country institution role for Kazakhstan and with MISU and with University of Limited Institute of Technology, Ireland. So just recently we validated critical research being monitored by our partners. And the result was that the main objectives in this project have been implemented in the process and library. So we like to say that it helps to this European Union project. Our university has benefited a lot regarding some gained knowledge in information literacy and academic writing copy faculty and library. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Are there any questions for them, please? It seems no, because we are inside a very warm room, so thank you very much.
Okay, bye. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, that was the presentation from Kazakhstan. Now we are going to hear from ladies from United Arab Emirates on the topic librarians participating in service learning at federal universities in the United Arab Emirates. Ladies Mary Sengati Zimba and Judith Mabodza.
My colleague Judith, we both work at United Arab Emirates. We are librarians at Zayed University. And our colleague is right there from Minute. This presentation is the two of us. And we are going to talk about how librarians participate in service learning at federal institutions in United Arab Emirates. Okay, so let's begin. So a little bit of the introduction. Talk about the UAE. The population is 9.5 million, and however,
98% of the 9.5 million experts, like Judy, myself, and Melanie, the citizens are only 11.2%. There are several universities. We work for the federal government, and there are 3 universities, and then 76 are private registered, some of which belong to individual emirates, which are like states. All universities have to be registered by the Commission for Academic Accreditation, and information literacy in UAE, it's in most academic libraries. It's practiced in some form. Some are one-shot, actually mostly. Others are on demand, while others, like the one we'll talk about, is integrated in curriculum. What is our role today? Before I go to our role, just geographically, where are we at? So, so this is the map. We are from Abu Dhabi, and our university is on 2 campuses, one in Dubai and one in Abu Dhabi. And maybe most of you have heard about Bihać, the most luxurious hotel, 7-star, if you've ever heard of that. And that's in Dubai. And this is Sheikh Zayed Mosque, one of the largest mosques in the world as well. It's got the largest handmade carpet, 75,000 meters. So, yeah, and it's handmade from Iran. So just a few of attractions. Okay, so what is our role today? We'll talk about service learning, we'll do a definition, talk of the goals, librarian's role, and rationale, and then student and faculty experiences at our university, recommendation for best practices. And now, before I turn it to Dr. Judy, I just want to know how many of you have been involved in service learning? Anyone involved in service learning? Yes, yes. Excellent. And is service learning practiced in your institution connected to the library? Do you have any connections? Melanie, don't raise your hand because you are, since you're from Zayed University. Oh, yeah, okay. So we are from Khalifa University as well. That's interesting. So, we think there is something that you learned from our presentation today. And Dr. Judy will take it from there, and then I'll come back a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mary. We've had to become more and more involved with the community because, as you all appreciate, most of the graduating students from university have tended to be bookish, but not work ready. They are not relevant for the community. So Zayed University is one of those universities that are trying to become more and more involved. So service learning is to involve the community in our curriculum to enhance the lessons learned by the students to become relevant to their community, and also for the students to cumulatively learn experiences that are experiential. And in the process, what a service learning project does is, while embedded in the curriculum, all those students also have to come through either the library or the librarian has to visit their classes so that they're able to obtain some information literacy skills. And of course, that's identifying information, finding it, evaluating it, the usual information literacy vocabulary that we all use. And the intention is for them to be able to link information searches with actual life events, hoping to make that a foundation for finding the need for information, realizing the need for information as a process of lifelong learning. And we have what we call Zayed University Learning Outcomes. We know them by the acronym ZULO. And these are language, technological literacy, critical thinking, and quantitative reasoning, information literacy, global awareness, leadership. In all of them, information literacy is actually embedded in the modules, and as such, we believe that our graduating students have a certain level of information literacy, since it's a learning outcome of the entire university. As librarians, we help our students evaluate their role and actions vis-a-vis a project that is a service learning project that they will have chosen to be involved with. And the idea is for students to actually experience real life situations and read more about those situations. And the situations I'm talking about are mostly in the social services related, such as being affiliated to a social services department, the police, environmental issues. And when a student is involved in that kind of environment, they get to learn a little bit more about it, and they read more about it. They get the relevant information, accurate information from the library, or via the library, or with the librarian's guidance. And I'll turn over this to Mary because she has some service learning examples to talk about.
Okay. Just quickly mention this because our paper appears in the proceedings, so we can read more. So, service learning literature and library has been developing for a while, but for the past 18 years, that's when it's been involving the actual information literacy. And most researchers and authors argue that the impact of service learning on students, librarians and faculty, as well as the community, is very positive. So with this, we believe that what we are doing is actually correct. Now, there is actually a whole conference developed called the Colloquium on Libraries and Service Learning that is actually taking place in Washington, August 8 to 9 this year. It started in 2014. So this conference is really a big deal for us because it has recognized the importance of service learning and librarians' contribution. Now, what are the examples? I only have like 4 examples. There's Hernandez and Knight back in 2010. They collaborated. Hernandez is a faculty and Knight is a librarian, so they collaborated, worked together, and integrated information literacy, and the contribution of the librarian is actually acknowledged because she taught students how to use library resources, create search terms, and even for us we think it's quite normal, but for students who are doing it for the first time, differentiating between academic sources and popular sources is a big deal. So this helps especially coming to think of fake news. Then they will use reliable sources. Gary as well, but Gary, her study was different. That's why I really wanted to mention it here. She had a for credit course. With for credit course, she was teaching it on her own, IL for credit, and she collaborated with an organization that needed information for agriculture, that were actually agricultural experts, and they could not conduct searches to find information they needed because of the busy schedule and search techniques. So what Hernandez did, she used her students, taught her students how to create those searches and bibliographies, and the organization was pleased because they got bibliographies for the list of reliable sources that they could use. There's also Travis and Travis recorded all this we read in our paper. Now, service learning and the librarian. Why librarians? Service learning projects and classes actually require information that is reliable for their projects. So with librarians' involvement from the very beginning, our professional knowledge about resources and how to find them, how to use them, how to evaluate them and use them ethically comes really handy when we work with our students. So that's why we find that our role is key in service learning. Now let's talk about service learning in Bihać University, which I mentioned from the beginning. It's a federal institution. Why did we do this? At the beginning, we were just teaching information literacy and students were asked to pick whatever topic they wanted. And as usual, students pick dogs, cats, something easy. And sometimes not even related to whatever they're studying. So 5 years ago, it was decided in the colloquial program, which is part of the general education, to introduce service learning. And for us as librarians, we were really pleased because this is the first semester, first course by about 2,000 students, because we have 34 sections of 30 students on each campus. So each student of first year is involved. So the course is called General 120. It's about life skills, and with life skills they add service learning. It's taught by instructors and librarians and partners. We co-teach, but we specifically involved in the integration of IL experience. Okay, what is the assignment? Students are required to work in groups of minimum 5 or maximum 5 actually. The minimum could be 2 or 3, and they are required to pick a topic. This topic has to be related to a community needs. And once they've selected a topic, then they will pick an organization or community group and provide minimum of 5 hours of community service. What is the end product? One is a portfolio with a reflection of their experience. And with any service learning, reflection counts. Otherwise, it's a useless exercise. And they also have a classroom presentation. The topics Judy had mentioned a little bit. So it's usually environment, health, people with special needs, women, domestic partners, you name it all. They pick a topic and then they choose an organization. So the librarians come in. When we come in, it's usually with 5 or 7, between 5 and 7 of the semester. The class instructor has already prepared them. They've selected topics. And when we come in, we go through the actual research process, assist them in creating thesis statement, brainstorming and keywords, and finding resources in the catalog, books, and then encyclopedia mostly for background information, or either that theme or the organization, and then searching the website for organization information, statistics website, and here we teach how to evaluate information, get reliable, then search databases. They then read, synthesize, prepare report, and cite the sources. Why did we focus on the university college and advisors? I mentioned this a little bit. Because first year, we reach a lot of students. And then, advisors usually play a key role in guiding students in their academic career. So we work with them very closely. And again, we have the Zulus that Judith mentioned. Each college and each program is to make sure that 1 or 2 Zulus are assessed each year. So our InfoLit is assessed in the column. And as I mentioned before, there are about 2,000 plus students, so we reach this. Okay, so Judy, can you come back, please? And rationale, how old is it? Oh, 3 minutes. Okay, yeah.
Okay. The basic reason that we are doing this is that universities and libraries have a national responsibility of aligning higher education policy with teaching and learning, and we are some of the educators as librarians. Therefore, this is what we also do. Students have expressed mixed reactions when it comes to the service learning project, because it's 5 the contact is 5 hours, and some of them feel that it's too little. But others, it's very exciting because they've never worked in their lives and they don't know what they are planning to do with their university degrees. So having a work experience is actually like an adventure. And giving a report about it is also a new thing. And faculty believe that there's value in having students conduct such an exercise. And the university finds that we continuously need to have stronger relations with the community organizations so that we prepare students to become ready for the surrounding community. And faculty also believe that this is a good assignment in encouraging students to communicate because the student at the end of the project have to make a presentation. And student reflections in the portfolios have indicated that they have learned a lot from their experience, and some of them actually come back to the library and they're surprised at what they've been able to do. Now I'm skipping through.
Take it easy.
Okay. The recommended best practices, I think Mary better come and talk to this one.
Okay. So, we feel that, especially for most institutions that have students who have never had any work experience, it's important for information literacy to be incorporated in service learning at an initial stage, because at that level, whatever you're teaching students are the skills that they take throughout their college life. So if it's included in the service learning assignment, that's great. And then we believe that if you follow like what we've done and with the case studies that we read, you will understand. Because in case studies, they have given different examples. Some of the integration has been at the very beginning, others is in the majors, and some librarians are partnering with the level of actually assessing the assignments and even going and working with the partners. As for us as a university, we ended at the level of introducing students to the resources. So we didn't go through that. And also, some librarians are invited during the presentation. And I think that would have been a really good experience because you hear students as they experience and express themselves. So that's an invitation to encourage librarians you to all participate in the presentation. And we are asking everybody to be on the lookout for such student opportunities. Honestly, it's the best way of knowing the students and also working closely with faculty. One of the colleagues was asking me, if you are in an elevator with a faculty and you want to sell this idea that they have service learning and you want to sell the idea of integrating information, what can you say in 3 ways? I went, but this is something that you should all think about. What happens if you get this opportunity? Because we need to sell our services. Some faculty have no clue what we do. And if we don't do it for ourselves, nobody will know. Okay, so this is all I have. Please read the paper. There are many more recommendations. And we've added references of the studies that we read. It's quite interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mary and Judy? No one?
It's too good, I guess.
Yes, probably yes. Okay, then thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Professor Wbilc from South Africa to come to the stage and to present on the topic of searching for research publications by voice on Google Scholar and exposing research publications to the Google Scholar crawler.
start to save time. I've got 2 posters. Now, I think it's better use of time to talk about the background, what's out, and maybe the outcome, and to actually explain to you what the process says. That's what process are for. You can look at it afterwards. The first one is part of the study done on voice search and Google Scholar. Just some background where this comes from, because it explains the motivation and partially the outcome. Long ago, we got television. How many people in the room were alive when you got television in your country? The older ones will put up their hands. So television was fantastic, because now you can sit back and have some entertainment while you're doing nothing. But very soon people said, but every 5 minutes I have to get up and go to the TV and change the channel with the volume, and there's an advertisement. So they designed the remote control, which is still with us, very popular. Based on the inherent human laziness, nothing wrong with that, we're all the same. Then came, many years later, mobile devices for many reasons. One of them is human laziness. I don't want to go to a landline, I want to phone when I can, when it suits me. And then the connectivity and the whole thing about the young generation, especially, taking this mobile thing and running with it. As we know, mobile is massive. You can't ignore it in any field, whether it's marketing or library science or computer science. Mobile is massive. Then came the keyboard problem. The first mobile phones had a little sort of reduced keyboard with like 10 or 15 keys, and you had to press a button 4 times to get an A and an E and a C. But you had to have some form of input. So then the designers listened to the complaints and said, okay, we'll give you a full-size keyboard. So the BlackBerry generation came out, and Nokia E61, many others, with an actual physical keyboard similar to a laptop but much smaller. Then they said, okay, it's taking up a lot of valuable screen space. Let's take away the keyboard, make the whole screen, the whole face of the mobile device screen only, and then put a virtual keyboard on there so you can still type, which worked. But still, we've got this thing called the QWERTY keyboard, the QWERTY, which you know the story behind it. It was designed to be difficult to use, so you can't type very fast on it, even if you're a Dutch typist, which I'm certainly not. And that hopefully solved the problem, but still it didn't. Because the consumer said, I'm lazy. Well, they didn't say that, but they think that. I don't want to type. I can talk much faster than what I can type. I make mistakes when I type, but when I talk and I know the words I want to say them accurately. So talking is better than typing. So that led to voice search, or voice recognition in general, voice search specifically. So we said to ourselves, voice search is important. The younger generation is the future. They are into social media and things like voice search and things like local results. Where you say, where's the closest pizza restaurant? And if you in Bihać, you don't expect answers in London because you're not in London. You want the pizza restaurant where you are. All those things are a result of the mobile explosion and the younger generation. So this poster is about experimenting with voice search to find information on Google Scholar. Now let me deviate again and interrupt myself again. I think if we work with students, postgraduate students, we very quickly find out they Google everything, right? We know that. Then we say, okay, you've got to use academic databases. Then they think, they might not say it. It's a lot of trouble, it's a password. I don't like the traditional layout of a digital library. You teach them about Google Scholar, and they say, okay, that's better, it's got Google in it, so it must be good. And they start using Google Scholar, which is better than plain Google. No advertisements, it's a different database, a different algorithm, and so forth. We all know the story. But then we found out, and that's what the post is all about, that Google Scholar doesn't have the little microphone icon. It's only got the traditional looking glass icon. So it doesn't have this one, it's only got the looking glass. Which means, of course, Google Scholar at this moment doesn't offer voice search. Now, in my view, that's a problem. Again, there's a difference between the truth and the perception. The perception of younger people is, this is how you find information. Google it. Google Scholar if you insist. The truth might be there are better ways, and librarians will know about the better ways. But the perception is younger people don't like doing that. There's many studies being done on searching for academic information. They don't like going to academic databases because they've got, well, one of the reasons, an old-fashioned look and feel, and they are sometimes cumbersome to get to the point. Not that Google or Google Scholar is a lot better, but anyway, that's the first poster. Maybe a year from now, 5 years from now, this won't be true anymore, and Google Scholar might have a voice interface. One of the reasons possibly is if you do a normal search, a non-academic search, like where do I find the Opal Hotel in Bihać, you're likely to use fairly standard English phrases, which are easy to convert from voice to text. If you do an academic search for an academic publication, you're probably going to use some very specific, difficult to spell words, engineering, medical words, library science, words and phrases, which are not common English. And the software has a problem to convert those strange sounding, non-standard English words to text. Because obviously the conversion accuracy is important. Closer to 100%, the better. Right, so that was the first poster. Can you get the second one up, please? The second one, again, Google Scholar. It's about a system that makes publications easier to find through Google Scholar. Now, I started studying the guidelines. They're a bit technical. You don't have to be a programmer to understand them, but it's not so easy. It sounds very verbose if you look at the actual Google Scholar guidelines. And Google Scholar, as we know, is often used as a measurement of your academic greatness in terms of how many times have you been cited, which is a well-known metric in the academic world. In fact, that was, in case you didn't know, the reason for the existence or the starting of Google itself. The two founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, were both doctoral students. They didn't finish, but they started this thing called Backrub in their dorm rooms, which is now called Google, which is an indexing system based on citation. If there's an election taking part now, and I vote for a certain person, it's an expression of trust. I think that person is best for the job. Now the same is true of citations. If you cite somebody else very often, or many people cite one person, that person's work is considered to be important, because a lot of other people are referring to it. So these two guys, they dropped out shortly after that because they started making money, said, well, if one website points to another one, that's called an outlink, or from the other websites point a backlink or an inlink. If many websites point to a given website, that given website must be important. So quantity initially, and then later on quality of the links started forming the basis of the ranking algorithm of Google. In other words, how does Google decide who comes first? In the commercial world, that's extremely important. That might be the difference between your business succeeding or failing if you lose your ranking. So the Google Scholar system, I thought, let's do a dummy run. It ended up taking about 3 years and it's still going on, but it's working. To design a system, a very simple web-based system that does what Google Scholar asks. And that's a simple landing page, which is my own digital library page, with, as it says, lots of links, lots of words, the words being the title of every one of my own publications, because it's easy to get to and easy to test. I've got access to all of them. Then if you click on that link, it should take you to what I ended up calling a bare bones HTML page, which is an HTML page like this one, terrible to look at, but it wasn't designed for humans. It's there for the crawler, the Google Scholar crawler, who expects an H1 heading, the biggest one, which is the title, and an H2 heading with the authors, then H3 and so forth, and the abstract and the references, and at the bottom, in this case, I've put a link to the actual full text, which is the next phase. That's what Google Scholar says. That's what they want. Now, this is a terrible thing to do. I don't do it. It takes too much time. I'm paying a second year student to do this. You take all my publications, convert it to 2 files, the doc pairs I call it. The bare bones HTML, which is just copying and pasting. It's no big program. You can get a young person to do it, without experience. Sorry, not a young person, somebody without programming experience. There's the landing page, which is just a page boring to read. It's bad design because it's a lot of text. And nobody who's just happening to come across it will like it and read it. But it wasn't created for the human audience, it was created for the crawler audience. So the Google Scholar crawler will find this, it'll link through to the Wbilc HTML page, it'll find everything it wants there, hopefully, if it's done correctly. And then at the bottom, not shown here, there's a link to the full text, which is a PDF file sitting somewhere. Then, after all this, you've got to now do the equivalent of a Google submission, which is on Webmaster Tools. It takes about 20 seconds. If you created a brand new domain or a new web page, same concept. You have to submit it to Google if you want them to crawl it and find it and list it in the results later on. Except if it's an existing old domain, then it's a different story. So, now the equivalent of that is a Google Scholar submission, not shown here, where you've got to go to a specific screen, and it takes a bit long, it takes about 5 minutes per web page, if you like, to submit all of these pages manually, once only, to the Google Scholar database. It'll then come and crawl you about 6 weeks later, as opposed to Google, who does it in a few hours, and list the information in the index. So if somebody then goes to Google Scholar and says, I want information and use the correct keywords, it's likely to find your publication listed in Google Scholar. Remember, Google Scholar and Google itself are totally different interface, obviously similar but different, completely different algorithm, different index, no advertisements, no other stuff, commercial stuff in Scholar supposedly, and a different way of ranking, which is important. Depending on what you type, you might find your publication listed at the top or middle or far down, but as long as it lists, it doesn't matter. You'll probably increase your visitations as a result of this. So this is just a summary, and of course you all know the Google Scholar way of showing your citations, showing a very familiar face from the past. No verified email. This poor guy didn't have an email. When he was alive, there was no email, of course. And then something like 117,000 citations, 35,000 since 2013. You all know this little picture. If you don't know it, don't Google it. It's become a sort of a standard in evaluating an academic. What is your H score in Google Scholar, for example? Not very trustworthy because you can fool the system many different ways. I won't go into that now. But at least it has an easily understandable figure that seems to indicate your value as a researcher. Whether it's accurate or not, it's a different story. And so the conclusions was this wasn't that difficult. You don't need a programmer to do this. You need some academic or administrative assistance, like I've used. You need somebody to take all your 100, 200, 300, however many publications, convert them to doc pair for each one, PDF with a full text and a Word document with some basic information. For each one, then create a Wbilc HTML page, host it somewhere, create a landing page which will lead to that if you click on it, and then take a PDF and host that as a clickable link from here, the actual full text. Plus, of course, a copyright issue. You can't do that with all your publications because you sign away the copyright. Formally, that's another story. But the system works. Submitting basically that page only, if you want to, every month or so, it'll re-index it, and it'll find the new ones you've added. So you don't really have to do all of these manually every time. You can just resubmit this one once a month, it takes 10, 15 minutes. And Google Scholar theoretically will crawl all the new ones, find these pages, and then find the full text PDF, and it should be indexed in Google Scholar. So, proving that it's not difficult, but it's time consuming. If you're a very active publisher, researcher, with hundreds of publications, and you haven't done this yet, 2 years with assistance to get it up and going. Mine is not finished yet, because I only started a few years ago. I'm trying to catch up. Not that I've got that many publications, but it's really time consuming. This kind of job is not a nice thing to do. It's boring. It's the same thing over and over. It's text only, but it's got to be done. That's what Google Scholar wants. The landing page linking to the bare bones, which they can understand, and that linking to the full text, which is the real end destination of our journey. Right, I'm finished. Any questions?
So you said you have not finished. This is a work in progress. What type of difference have you noticed from the time when none of this work was done compared to now?
Okay, I was afraid of that question. I didn't do it before and after because I didn't know how this was going to develop when I started 5 years ago. I didn't, knowing what I know now, I would have done exactly that to see what my score did over the years. But at the same time, as time goes by, you keep on publishing anyway, supposedly, which means your score will theoretically increase anyway. Slowly, if you don't do this, faster I believe, but I don't have the evidence to prove that suddenly that I would hope it did, but lack of foresight. I didn't record before session, so it's too late to go after now and try and compare it. Can I see a noticeable difference in people citing me? Again, I'll have to go back and look at the metrics over a period of time. And I didn't record it. As you know, it changes all the time. I didn't record it on a daily or even weekly basis to be able to see. I would like to believe there was an increase, but I can't prove it. Like that's not a poster for another. Sorry. Any questions? So it's not rocket science, but it's got to be done if it's important enough for you or anybody to spend the time to do this for it to be efficient.
Any other questions for Professor Liebman?
The abstract of the two posters, yes, they'll be there. The poster itself I'll put on Google Scholar sometime. But in parallel with this, I'm doing a study, it's basically a lifelong thing, on making new academic publications visible to Google, or to search engines in general, which is similar to this. So I'm doing, and that takes even more time, academia, ResearchGate, Mendeley, the whole lot over time, in parallel with this one. But I'm almost retiring, so I'm probably going to stop sometime. So if somebody wants to take it over, or start it with your own, but start early, like when you're 20 or 25, 30, because then you've got few publications, and it's quick and easy. But those of you who've got many, unlike myself, probably find it's a bigger job than you think.
Anyone else? Professor Wbilc. Okay, that will be all when it comes to presentations for the first day of the conference, but I leave you now in the skillful hands of Miss Melanie Wood. You will have a little workshop with her. The topic is Read a Person Like a Book during this Living Library workshop.
Who's gonna go rafting with me? Come on, who else? Who else? Who's going rafting? You can't be on the fence.
Okay, we have someone over there.
Okay, there's 2. Raise your hand again. 3. Oh, you guys aren't all excited about rafting? Okay, you still have a choice. You can still sign up for rafting. It's like, what, 50 marks? 50 euros, 100 marks. Okay, make your decision soon. So, for you, Nora, right? Your title after this could be The Time I Broke My Leg Rafting. Oh, well, that's really subtle. Okay, she was on the fence, sorry. Do all of you feel like you have at least one real good story? Who has a really good story and knows the title already? We all have a good story. We just haven't refined it to maybe a 5-minute story. So what we've done at my university, and I'll show you the images that go along with it, but you all have a handout in your bag, and it's about how to do a living library. So this workshop, I'm going to reduce it to maybe a 30-minute workshop. I'll make it like fun and interesting. So at your public or university library, you can easily set up what I call a living library. Who's heard of a human library? Okay, we ripped that off, and I think it's like vaguely illegal how we adapted everything that we took from them. We couldn't meet with our criteria because of our university requirements and our ability to find different people for the library. What we did is we took faculty and staff and some students. Well, no students were part of it this time, but the pictures I'll show you will be how we engaged with the students, and then we convinced some of them to, in the future, become part of a living library. So if you'll all take a look at that handout, the one side gives you the steps of how we set up our library. Oh, thank you. I don't know my... So first of all, set a date. Just in your mind, think of a time that would be convenient and interesting for your university or public or any library programming time to have one event where you get your friends and people that you want to talk to, you know they have interesting stories, and ask them to come and talk about their story for 10 or 15 minutes. We call that a collection of books when it's just people who have put a title together and they're willing to go on your menu. So usually it's people you don't mind sitting around with in case no one wants to know the story, but guess what? It turns out to be quite fun and interesting, and everybody wants to start chatting. And it might not go exactly as you want, as some library programs do. Some of our books were overwhelmed with 10 people crowding around them. That's not the way it's supposed to be, but that's great that you're so successful that your books are all checked out rapidly. Is that being set up?
Yeah, you can just tell them.
Oh, okay. So this is the poster we had. When we had our program, you choose a book off the menu, you have a conversation, and you submit a review. The review is for us to evaluate how successful this human library, living library went. And we also wanted to contact the students later to see if they were interested in being a book later, if they were interested in continuing with being a part of the club. So I will show you the pictures of how we did those. Okay. So that's just one of our library staff who participated, and the thing that we had out, this is pretty much all the information we gave other than this changing menu. So the menu we had was based on who we had available to tell stories. Pretty much all of the Dubai staff participated in this. So that was library staff, and what we did was we were asked to participate in something called Innovation Day, and we thought, okay, well, we've got a lot of technology tools we want to share, and it might bore people to tell them about our augmented reality. It would have to be quick. So one of our stories was the lady who developed an augmented reality program, and she gave this talk to other technology-interested students and staff at our university. So we promoted library resources in addition to having a really engaging several long-hour event. So this picture is a couple of our librarians, and this is the ideal one-on-one, because it's supposed to be like a private, you tell a story and maybe the person could ask questions, because a lot of our students aren't exposed to a variety of different people, and a lot of us never get to talk to people from a different background or with a unique story. So this one was augmented reality. They chatted for a while. The innovation day that we had at our university was UAE dignitaries. Like, I think this was the fire department talking about their smart truck. So what our table was more of a setting where they sit down together, like that. We had a bunch of chairs. It could be any setup that you feel most comfortable. People often like a private place to talk if they're going to tell a story that they don't necessarily want everyone lurking around and listening to. So we were showcasing new technologies and just basic human stories. This woman, guess what her story was? Do you remember?
Yes.
What was it?
Living and working in Alaska.
Antarctica.
Yes, Antarctica. Sorry.
This lady I worked with lived in Antarctica working for a year, and she brought all sorts of props, so I thought that was a good example of a really good living library. She used some of the books from our collection too. She brought out a globe and showed our students exactly where she was. It was really interesting. We all wanted to know her story, and she definitely had like 10 or 15 people surrounding her to hear about this. Plus, she's our academic bridge program librarian, so people already know who she is, but people felt even more comfortable with knowing her, knowing more about her background. It was really covert library marketing, to be honest. It worked really well to tell people about who we are, what they can do for you, and helped us to seem more approachable in many different ways. you and lets you down, you can't find articles, you think, oh, this lady from Antarctica, she was actually quite nice. So the library staff worked together to share the things that they knew about. That was a selfie of some of us when we didn't have people to talk to. So this woman is our tech services librarian. I thought this was especially interesting because our tech services people are kind of shy. They're literally behind closed doors all the time, right? Especially her, she's super quiet. But then when you get a couple things out of her, she will tell you things. She's a big-time snowboarder. And do you think many people in the Emirates are big snowboarders? Not really. I went snowboarding with her on Christmas Day, actually, at the Dubai Mall thing, the Emirates. But she had a group of 10 students surrounding her. Like, what's snowboarding? Does it hurt? Like, it was awesome. It was really good engagement. I mean, she got to know people, and perhaps, I don't know if she met many more students, probably. But it's really good student engagement. Okay, here's a picture of our entrepreneur, and then the student in the middle, and then Antarctica there. So this entrepreneur guy, he happens to be just a friend, and he agreed to do this. But a lot of the people that he spoke to said, oh, I never thought about starting my own business. I don't know the way to do it. I didn't know we had an entrepreneur minor. It's a major now, I think. I don't know.
It is.
So we're all learning new things about each other. And then this student in the middle, I don't often include the students in images, but she's a vegan and an animal rights activist, and I don't mean many of our students who are vegans. So she agreed to be part of our next living library out in the Festival City Mall, because we've been asked by the future department we have a future department, sort of sustainability and outreach, to go to this day-long event. And I thought, oh, I don't want to do a day-long event. As exhausting as this 2-hour event was, it was so valuable to us. We really got the students engaged, the faculty and staff engaged, everybody enjoyed telling their story, and people got really excited about telling their stories in the future. So, okay, this is the last slide, 8 out of 8. You never know what you're going to find out about your own colleagues. My one colleague, I would have never guessed, he considers himself a master fish keeper. Does anyone know what that means? Means you're psychotic about collecting fish. He has at least his one $5,000 fish. I'm going to go rob his house. I can't believe he has a $5,000 fish. So I never knew this about my colleague, and when he came out with that, then he was like, well, of course, we have lots of books on this. And he brought all these reference materials and showed me his fish, and he brought those props along and spoke about his collection of fish and how and why you get started. And I just thought, I talk to him all the time. He's a pretty talkative person, and I never knew that bit. And so he will be on our future list of people that will talk. So after everybody has their little conversation, I try to catch them. You should have a checkout desk person, and it's not necessarily to be the gatekeepers and be controlling, but it protects the speaker in case they're getting exhausted. You can say, hey, your time's up, someone else wants to talk. And so then you give them this little evaluation thing. They don't have to give all this information. Like, who did you talk to? Suggested books, like who would you want to talk to? Do you want to be a book in the future? Do you want to know about the next living library? And please provide your email. So with this information, I sent them a follow-up thank you, and I asked them to join the Goodreads group, which is a closed little group, and people can stay talking about this, and when we have another event, then I can connect with those students and staff who want to participate. So, what I'd like to do with you guys today, but you look half melted, and we all get to go whitewater rafting soon. So, what do you guys think about over the next 24 hours? Think about your title and think about how you would give yourself a little book description. Like, what would your jacket say? Okay, so on that menu, I wrote, jumped out of a plane. So, there's people here who have jumped out of a hot air balloon, and I didn't even know that was a thing that you could do. Like, apparently it's even higher than a plane. So if you want to know such things, I challenge you to find out who are the people on this list. Kayaked in the mangroves of Abu Dhabi. Did you know how beautiful the mangroves of Abu Dhabi are? Verdana's an expert. So maybe you can think of your title, and maybe tomorrow or even today, you'll tell each other what your titles are, what your subtitles are, and you can start up your own living library.
What's the rapidly?
Yeah, that's going to be yours. We're going to talk about that all day tomorrow. Look at this injury. No, we're going to be safe. All right, so any questions about how to set this up, or any challenges, or any questions? And
Michelle. Thank you so much. Okay, Radko, would you please sum up today? Okay.
Okay, so we have closed the sessions for today. As planned, you got a planned program with you, so you got an hour and 20 minutes of ish for a quick lunch, and then after that, the rafting or Martin Road Waterfalls Monastery tour will take place as planned. So please be outside your hotel. This one, 15:15, or if you stay down there at Park Hotel, 15:30. That's one. See you tonight at 2100, and if you are not engaged in any of these optional programs, you have free afternoon. So see you this evening at 2100 at the gala dinner. Thank you very much.